Hello, fellow followers, and welcome back to the Physical Media Show here on FanZcene Vids. I am Greg, and with me tonight is Tom from Midnight's Edge. How you doing, Tom?
We locked Runner out.
Yeah, he's like, we got to get rid of that kid.
He's like, come on, guys, let me in.
No, he will be joining us later tonight. He actually has to close up the store he works at. So
closing up shop.
Yeah. So glad to see you here once again after hanging with you guys on 4K4U with Valiant Renegade. That was a good show today.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah, it was a very good show. Great conversation. I love doing that show with you guys.
We had a couple surprises considering Trading Places the news dropped earlier. Although I wasn't totally surprised. I'm sure a lot of people are happy to hear about it. And of course, The Exorcist is what I've been waiting for myself personally. I can't wait for. So
yeah, that'd be a nice for you. I wonder what that really looks like in 4K because
hopefully they go back to the negative. And I didn't bring this up earlier, but I'd imagine they're doing both versions. I was going to ask you guys which versions you guys preferred.
I think I don't think it's been a minute, but I don't know if I've ever actually seen the extended cut.
The version you've never seen.
Yeah, the version you've never seen. You know what? I actually do have that on VHS.
It depends on my mood.
Does it?
Yeah. I like the version you've never seen, but I've never been a huge fan of the Spiderwalk scene. Still doesn't look all that great. You can tell it's not her.
Yes. Yeah.
And the ending I like more, but I see the conflict, and that's the thing. I recommend if you've not seen it. There's a great conversation between Friedkin and Blatty, and it's on all the releases since then, where they talk about the whole idea of it and why Blatty prefers that version and why Friedkin doesn't. And
I get you.
That conversation is what made Friedkin do that version of the movie. So it's a great conversation to listen to because you listen to both of them passionately give their arguments for it. And the really boiled down to was mainly not just the Spiderwalk, but that was one of the catalysts. But the thing is Blatty was pissed that he didn't have the original ending on and he cut it out because he knows it was shot. And he's like, it exists. I know it does. And Friedkin's like, you don't need it though. It's excess. It's just extra bullshit. It's keeping the audience there for 5-10 more minutes than they need to be, kind of thing. That's not exactly what I'm paraphrasing, but
yeah, I get you. That's how he feels.
Yeah, and he's like, but my problem, Blatty says, is that I don't feel like the audience realizes how it ends and that there is hope. He goes, I think that the audience is still left a little ambiguous, and Friedkin's like, are you fucking crazy? You see right there, Reagan, she recognizes him. There's hope. There's this. It's the good guys won. He's like, yeah, but he goes, I've had a lot of people who still aren't quite sure about that, and I'm like, he's like, there's really people that have asked you that. He's like, yeah. And he goes, I don't think that it's clear enough that good has prevailed and that there is hope for the future. And he likes the ending, having, creating that friendship. And I'm sure part of it goes with the fact that Blatty later wrote Legion and directed Exorcist 3. And that scene sets up that sequel.
Right.
So I'm not saying he isn't a little biased on that, but I understand where he's coming from. He likes that idea of that friendship rekindling off of, the original two's friendship.
Yeah. I get you.
And so in that was his main reason. He's like, it just doesn't feel like it's complete. And Friedkin's like, maybe I'm wrong. And I'll tell you what, if I get the chance, maybe I'll look at it again. And then like a year or two after that, we got the version you've never seen. So that was kind of the catalyst for that whole thing. And he did it for Blatty. So it was, and luckily he got to see it. It was before he passed away. So
that's cool.
Sorry, I just love The Exorcist.
I get once you brought up the Spiderwalk, I remember. Yes, I have seen it. Yeah, because I often forget the Spiderwalk is in the version you haven't seen. I often forget that.
Yeah,
because everybody talks about it.
They redid the sound. I mean, it's mostly the same sound effects and stuff, but they did enhance it, added some stuff to it.
Right.
Changed the color timing just slightly, made it look a little like kind of like felt like one of those movies of that period that when they re-released it there in that era. So like just kind of added something to the picture that just kind of made it look a little different than you remember. And part of it was probably because they went back to the original negative. That could very well be as well.
Yeah.
And it didn't have whatever color timing they put on the original version. And then the other thing that it kind of bothers me is they add little flashes of the face here and there extra than what they had.
Oh yeah, the demon.
Because it looked good and it was just enough in the original version. So I've found myself in more recent years just watching the original version.
It's usually the original is like the best, anyways. Like the first cut we get.
But I miss the break, and that's the other thing is Blatty argued about, and this is one of the reasons why I will never like say, yeah, never again. Because I like watching because there's a great scene between the two fathers when there's a break in The Exorcist. And in the main theatrical cut, it just shows them real quick, cut away just to show they took a break, and then it cuts back to them doing their thing or whatever. I think a scene of Ellen Bernstein. I can't remember which offhand. I'm sure somebody in the chat will correct me if I'm wrong. Either way.
Yeah.
But then in that scene, though, they have the conversation about how the demon's whole goal is to make them think they're uglier than they are. And this whole great fucking speech. It's like the Indianapolis speech in Jaws to me.
Right.
So that speech being in there really beefs it up a bit. So that to me, between that and the ending are the real reasons I like it. The Spiderwalk scene to me was just kind of like,
yeah. You don't need, you really don't need that scene. There's enough in that movie where you don't need the Spiderwalk at all. But so like with the conversation.
When she says you're gonna die up there and pisses on the floor, that's enough.
Yeah, you pretty much know that's where you're going. But I would say hell to everybody in the chat.
It's almost kind of freakier in a way.
Oh, it is because like anybody can, like, I've seen girls do that before, like, just bend over and walk like that. It's like that's not. I mean,
the mystery's gone at that point.
Yeah,
it's at that point you're still questioning: is there something really wrong with her? Is she just misbehaving, or is she actually this thing? Once her mother sees her do that spider walk and spit blood, like I'm sure there's like no real question, especially for the audience, what's going on.
Right.
So to me, that takes away some of the mystery at that point, a little too early in the film. Because for a bit there, because I think is that before? I'm trying to remember the cut sequence. That's before or after the scene where the mother comes in and the shit's all flying through the room. See, it's been a good 10 years since I've watched the version you haven't seen. So
yeah, it's been a while.
Since I've had the Blu-rays, I've always watched the theatrical cut for some reason. I don't know why, but
it's just what you gravitate towards.
I don't know why. I just did, because maybe it's been that long. Because for years,
I think I know why. After the conversation we had earlier in the week with your dad and stuff,
could very well be. But I think another part of it is for the longest time. I mean, I did have both versions of the DVD, but when that DVD came out, it looked and sounded that much better than the older DVD.
Right.
So I'd always gravitate towards that DVD. So then by the time the Blu-ray came out, I'd been watching the version you never seen for like the last 10 years. So at that point, I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm going to watch the theatrical cut since it's been, X amount
forever.
Of years. Yeah. But I always kept the original because that's the one that had all the special features on it. So, and it had a couple of great documentaries and stuff. Of course, they carried that all over later on. And I got a nice box set. And I was actually going to watch it maybe for this Halloween, but now that 4K's coming out, I might just wait.
Yes, hey, it's true because it's coming soon, so don't want to rewatch. But yeah, I get you. I feel you.
Brian, where's Runner? Best Buy.
Yeah, probably. And I do want to say hello to everybody in the chat. So, Random Brett Creator, welcome. Anthony Draven, glad you're here. Brian Barth, glad you're here. Dan Blackroyd, glad you're here. Deleted scenes, you got it. I love this. Keep them coming. Smash like, share the stream. Yes, do that. Heather Preston, hi, how are you? Once again, Random Brass says Pazuzu. That was the name of the demon. Pazuzu. Yes, and Runner, yeah, probably Best Buy.
Far as I can tell, there's 3 different spirits in there. At least there's only one.
Yes, I do think Cobra is a good movie.
So sure, I know.
It is a classic. It's been so long since I've seen it, so I might do myself, wait till the 4K comes out and watch it then on the 4K because it's been a very long time.
Oh, I love Exorcist 3 as well. Oh, you ever seen that one? I'm sure you have.
Part 3, yeah. Oh, I remember the one with Skarsgård. There's 2 versions of that one too.
Yep. Yeah. We actually have an interview with Gary Tunnicliffe about that.
Really?
Yeah. Because I was one of the people in the forums pushing for I wanted the other cut.
Right.
I was not a fan of the one we got from Rennie.
Yeah,
I wanted the Paul Schrader cut. And I ended up liking that version better, but at the end of the day, it's just like it's still a hand wash.
Yeah, it's still yeah.
I mean, I love Skarsgård, but other than that, it was just kind of a bad idea.
Unnecessary stuff, huh?
Pretty
But
much, and it doesn't really line up with Exorcist 2, even though I know they're not really worrying about Exorcist 2, but to me, like, that was canon, so it's like, okay, if you're going to tell that story, actually tell that story. I mean,
yeah, right.
it is the
It's
same story, but it's told in a different way, basically, but yeah.
pretty much, yeah. It's the Exorcist sequels are always weird because then you get like part two everybody doesn't like, and then you get part three that people think are
I
underrated,
don't
and
hate
you get
part
that
2,
one.
but my
What?
thing with I don't hate part 2, but I think my thing with part 2 is when I watch it, I always see the potential of what it could be, so maybe that's what's fogging my viewership of it, because I really like the concept, and I really like the idea, and this is why I can't understand why Blumhouse didn't get, or at least talk to Linda Blair
Linda
about coming
Blair,
back,
yeah,
because in that movie they kind of set up this idea that since her experience, she's got like a clairvoyance herself now, right?
right,
And like it almost sets up like this idea, because I kind of do it, but it doesn't quite execute that way, to where she's kind of fighting Pazuzu herself, because now she has her own kind of powers and shit.
yes, yeah,
So like, and just to see her kind of help out kids that, like, towards she can help determine whether or not they're actually just having problems, or if they're actually, because that's what you could do, is just have her be like in a children's mental hospital in the beginning, and she deals with all these different kind of strange disorders, and then all of a sudden one kid comes along that everybody just can't figure out what the hell the problem is, and she instantly knows what the fucking problem is.
right.
And that's where you set up this whole idea. That to me makes more sense on how to continue the story. Bringing in Ellen Bernstein makes no fucking sense. What's grandma
Truly, we'll get into a lot of that Blumhouse shit later.
Yeah,
Trust me.
I'm sure.
Believe that.
Was there any other announcements you wanted to get into? I'm sorry about
just
that.
like
Going on forever on The Exorcist. But.
No, that's fine. It's good talk. I mean, it's Halloween season. And I like talking the horror movie, especially around this time of year. So this episode and next episode will probably be very heavy horror related. So, so that's fine by me. But yeah, no, King Kong Lives. I'm looking. I mean, I'll probably wait. I don't know if I'll buy the
we
umbrella
forgot that earlier. Shit.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if I'll buy the umbrella one or wait till they get the You Stay Side. But that umbrella one is really tempting.
You mean just regular King Kong, not King Kong Lives, but yeah.
No, it's King Kong Lives.
Where's King Kong Lives?
Coming from Umbrella.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
the regular one.
I'm pretty sure it's King Kong Lives coming from Umbrella on Blu-ray.
Really? I missed that. I must have thought it was the first one.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. I'm very tempted to buy it. That's like the Australia, the Sting, but
I wouldn't order it directly from them. I've had issues with that. What I would do is it'll come up on. I'll find you a different one if not, because I'm gonna probably get it myself. But.
Yeah, it's King Kong Lives Collector's Edition.
Oh wow!
Coming. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. You had me thrown there for a minute.
First one for some reason. I just figured that was their region's version of it.
No, brother, and that's so because that I like that one. I like it's
sweet.
Cheesy and campy enough that I love it.
Oh shit! Here it is. Yeah, King Kong Lives. Awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah, that's one that I was really kind of caught my eye, and Trading Places, Exorcist, and all that. Yeah, King Kong Lives.
No wonder it just got released digitally in HD.
Now you know. Yeah, that's even Mike was like, Shout will probably release this down the line.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So yeah,
but I kind of like this art.
Yeah, it's a nice set, isn't it?
Oh, here, I'll share it.
Yeah, we'll show you guys real quick.
This makes the regular King Kong art look like shit, because that's what I remember thinking. I'm like, oh, too bad that wasn't the art we were getting. I didn't realize it was King Kong Lives. I just thought it was the Australian release of King Kong.
No, look, check that out.
Yeah, I know. That's awesome.
It is.
That's really
like
awesome.
all the little stuff you get there.
Yeah,
man.
I didn't see this. This is why. If I just saw this, I'd have known instantly it was King Kong Lives.
Yeah.
But see, this you can't really see. I just kind of glanced at it like, oh, it's their version of King Kong, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
it looks cool. It's cool. And Umbrella does really great work. So.
Oh well, even has some extras and everything. Yeah.
That's
not cool. Badly priced, but you'll pay that much in shipping and handling.
The shipping is. Whew.
Let me see if it shows up on the UK site or sometimes it'll show up on the US sites. Or Zabi, you'll get something close to.
Yeah. I know we got. I got Ghoulies from Amazon, but that was like a while later. So.
Yeah. That's the thing, because like I wished I would have waited for like, because I ordered a bunch of them a while back, and remember I was waiting forever for them, and the
Yeah.
shipping was outrageous. It was just
Yeah.
insane.
That's it. It's just like it's really great work, but that oh man, that international shipping gets you every time.
It's usually just Australia too, which is weird. Like the
I
rest,
know,
like
yeah.
UK is not so bad, depending on whatever the currency rate is at that point. But like anytime I've had, and they take forever. It literally took like almost 2 months for that to get here.
Mm.
It wasn't even that big of a package either, really. And then the shipping was like $50.
That's crazy.
All it was the Warriors, the Odd Couple set, and like 2 or 3 other loose discs, and that all was like $50 in shipping.
Yeah.
It was insane. Oh, and Bad News Bears was one of them. The second.
Oh yeah.
Bad News Bears and Breaking Training, and As Good as It Gets. Which, if I'd have known, and I should have known, that was going to be in the fucking 4K set. Yeah.
It happens every time. Every time you finally go, I'll finally buy it. Oh, here's the 4K.
Which I think that comes out this next week, because I seen the one HD dude on Twitter was posting it, and
oh yeah,
I think he has a store because he had a bunch of them.
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
And that's the one that people are not really excited about for that.
I am, but I'm not. Like I'm glad we're getting another one. I'm just not as happy with the titles. Like the only ones I'm really looking forward to are As Good as It Gets and Annie. Those are the only two that I really give a shit about in that set. I mean, some of those I haven't seen, so I don't know. I might enjoy them, but we'll see. So, but in comparison to the first 2 sets, and there is a lot of good movies that they haven't tapped into, and I understand they don't want to blow their load right away. But if you want these to sell, you have to kind of kick them off with a bang, sort of.
Yeah, you got to
throw some in there that people really want.
That's like I said, when they announced that, and there's like already on Amazon before it was like 2-star ratings. Like, these titles I don't want.
I can't believe La Bamba's not in there.
Yeah.
It's a fucking anniversary, for fuck's sake.
That is one that definitely needs an upgrade.
Yeah, and just the fact that it's not in there is just perplexing. And there's a couple others that we mentioned that I'm just like, how have they not gotten to them yet in there? And I mean, I'm sure some of them might be ones that are big enough that they plan on just releasing them separately, but they always eventually release these separately anyway. So to me, it just kind of is like, just give us something good. Give me something worth spending $100 and some bucks on. Just don't stick me with a bunch of movies I'm never going to watch.
Right.
I'll be honest, that first box set was amazing. The only one I didn't really care for out of there, and I know it might be sacrilege, I just found Gandhi so boring. It was decent when I saw it, but I never finished it because it just drug on and on. Yeah. Gandhi was the only one I didn't like, but I ended up loving and adoring Lawrence of Arabia. The first time I saw that.
We just need Gandhi too this time.
Mean, I knew Doctor Strangelove, but I'd never actually watched it from beginning to end, and that was the first time I actually experienced it from beginning to end, and I adored that. It quickly became one of my favorite movies. And I mean, there were some other great hits in there, like League of Their Own, and now I'm drawing a blank here, but
yeah, I can't remember all the titles.
First box set was great. The second one was equally good. This third one though, it's just kind of like, what the fuck are you guys thinking?
They're scraping the barrel.
They're not. That's the thing. They shouldn't.
I know they're not, but it feels like that's what they're doing.
I mean, they could have almost put Fright Night in this bitch too. To be honest with you,
yeah, honestly, yeah.
I mean, I know it's not one of their more. Yeah, it's not one of their more prestigious ones, but I mean, it kind of crosses over in that lane. But La Bamba, there's no excuse.
Yeah, that's
should have been in this one because it's the anniversary.
Who did Great Balls of Fire?
I think they did too, actually.
With Dennis Quaid. That's a good movie.
I think Columbia put that one out too. But I don't think that one was as
yeah, that's not as popular.
Prolific or popular. I could be wrong that that was Columbia, but I think they did both of them.
But that's sort of got a.
Well, they also have the Buddy Holly collection, which that's the other thing. They haven't done the Buddy Holly story yet, too. You can have both of those fuckers in here.
Like, they need to do the Bomba, Great Balls of Fire, and Buddy Holly box set. That would.
I wonder, wasn't there was that movie back in the day that had Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper in it? I can't remember if that was a Columbia picture or not. See, they could have had like a theme with this one almost, but yeah.
They could the Day the Music Died box set.
Yeah, because I know they did a couple of those music movies back in the day. Columbia did, but I think Universal did a bunch of them too. Somebody in the chat will probably know. But
yeah, if anybody
they would basically just bring in this cavalcade of stars and like Little Richard and Bill Haley, and you had Rock Around the Clock and The Girl Can't Help It, and I can't remember the name of the one, but Buddy Holly was in one of them. And I think that was just Hail Hail Rock and Roll, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember which, but you guys probably know what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, they could have done something like that, and
could have. It would have been nice.
I mean, at this point, you've already done some of these more prestigious ones. Now do themes or something, I guess. I mean, because otherwise the theme is, one from like every decade, but that doesn't even hold true because sometimes they have some overlap. But.
True. But yeah, that was that box set's coming out, and like I said, King Kong Lives, Trading Places, Exorcist. I'm trying to think of some stuff that interests me. That wasn't
Last
really
American
much.
Virgin was a nice one.
Oh yeah, Last American Virgin on the MVD from. I almost said canon. It is canon.
We forgot about Rain Man. Yeah.
Yeah, Rain Man. Rain Man. Definitely. Yeah.
That's already up for pre-order. Comes out February, I guess.
Oh, Rain Man is.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. February something. Yep. That and the Last American Virgin. That's really about it for this week. New releases. I did cover a few last week in a video I did here on my channel, which I brought up early. The Swamp Thing and all that.
Speaking of Roswell musicals, though, did we say Blue Hawaii yet? We missed that one earlier.
Blue Hawaii. I think we talked about a while back, but did we? Yeah, we talked about a while back, but did it got a date? It's got a date.
Thunderbolt and Lightfoot was the other one too.
Yeah, Thunderfoot and
Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. Yeah.
Thunderbolt. I keep wanting to say Thunderfoot. I don't know why, but Thunderfoot and Lightning Bolt. But yeah, that's about it for all the upcoming new stuff. If there's anything you guys are looking for, I hope we helped you out any. Now let's get into some of the physical media, some horror talk. Tom, you want to go show yours first, or you want me to start first?
It's up to you. I can start if you want.
We'll start with you. See what you brought to the table in the first. What you want to start with?
Well, last week I was on a podcast where we were talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 3, so I thought I'd revisit arguably one of the most excellent documentaries ever made, and I love these documentaries where they're fan made, basically, or crowdsourced, whatever you want to call them. But one that I think rises above them all. It has got to be Never Sleep Again. I mean, this is one of the most comprehensive, and probably the reason why we haven't done a retrospective yet on Nightmare on Elm Street, because this kind of covers everything. So well.
Gets it all.
I mean, you got almost every living member of the cast here, aside from like Johnny Depp and a few other people, random people that, and it's 2 discs. It covers each and every film. It runs 238 minutes plus special features. And it's a hell of a documentary. I can't recommend it enough. It was on, I think, Hulu, and I think you could watch it on YouTube for a while for free, but I don't know if you can anymore. But
I think it might be on Shudder.
It could be on Shudder now. I was going to say, I think it also went to Shudder eventually. But
yeah, I think Shudder might. If I remember correctly, they had that and the Friday the 13th.
Well, it's from that RLJ Entertainment, so there you go.
Yeah, that's the same people that own Shudder. So yeah,
1428 Films. So,
yeah,
or RLJ Entertainment and all that business. But yeah, no, it's a really great documentary. Not a lot of fluff. It just gets really down to the nitty gritty. And I mean, God, they even have Wes Craven before he passed.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Robert Englund, Heather Langenkamp. Like, God, like the only people they really don't have are like Johnny Depp. And God, I'm looking here and trying to remember. Do they have? I'm not sure if they got.
Did you get the guy?
Rennie Harlan. They got Rennie. I couldn't remember if they had Rennie Harlan. Yeah,
yeah.
Because some of them they do have some older interviews and stuff too. But
yeah,
no, they even got Clue and John in here. Even Kane Hodder. All that stuff, and it's
I mean, it is a really great documentary.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I remember I haven't seen it in a very long time, but I do remember seeing it. I do remember hearing about it, and I remember all the great interviews. I mean, I'm just trying to think of everybody that's in it. I remember listening to the new Nightmare segment because that was always one of my favorite movies of the set.
No, I'm glad about that one because on the DVDs for that. Since that one was one of the newest ones, it didn't have the best special features on it. Like, it was just Wes Craven rambling for like an hour on shit. It had very little to do with the actual movie. He's just really waxing intellectual about all this stuff, about how it all like he's really getting to the, what do I want to call it? Like the metaphysical part of it all and kind of what inspired him more than the actual making of the story. this actually gets into the making of part, so that's kind of
Yeah, it really gets into it because that's something I do remember. Because I do remember, very rarely did we get to hear about Nightmare set, New Nightmare. So it was nice to hear from that,
well,
and
we
it's nice
never.
to go through and see all that.
And there was some interviews on the old DVDs and stuff like that, and there was a few documentaries made for the first film, and but we never had anything that really encompassed all of the films and really got down to the real true stories of it all. Because I learned more about Nightmare, and I thought I knew almost everything there was to know about Nightmare on Elm Street, and I saw this, and I learned so much more. And I am a huge Nightmare fan. Like, I was the kid following Fangoria magazine and reading like I had the Nightmare on Elm Street 4 making of tape and all that kind of shit. Like, I knew all that stuff. Like, anything that I could get my hands on. I even had some more stuff that's all on YouTube now, but like somewhat rare stuff like that, like promos like the time he was on MTV and shit like that. But like now, of course, you have that pretty readily available.
Yeah,
but
everybody can just search it.
Exactly.
Sadly,
but at that time, I was like a nerd, and I even still have a DVD I made off of my videotape of all the special features from the second tape that were also on the Laserdisc of the Anchor Bay version of Nightmare on Elm Street. So like, yeah, I'm a huge fan of this stuff, and you get to see a lot of like what the hell's his name? It's on the tip of my tongue now. The makeup artist guy.
Oh yeah, the guy. Yeah,
Kevin Yeager.
Yeah,
he brought a bunch of behind the scenes footage to this and stuff, and some other stuff. I mean, some of it is already out there on YouTube, or most of it is already. But there's just that, and a lot of pictures and things that I've never seen before, stories galore that I've never heard before, like real versions of the stories compared to what we hear, kind of the puffy version we've heard in the past, and just all kinds of neat stuff that we don't normally get to hear about. And that's the beauty of another company or a group funded documentary like this, is it's not under the purview of the studio, so you don't have to worry about them breathing down your neck and saying what you can and cannot say.
Yeah, they can let loose in these interviews. That's why they're so fun. That's why these are so great. And I love the fact that the artwork of that is actually done from the guy that did all the posters, or at least it was him, right? That did he did all the cover arts for the VHSs.
Yeah, he's in this.
Yeah. He did the poster, the cover up for that too. That Blu-ray.
Oh, did he? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I guess I thought they were just emulating it, but I didn't realize that.
He designed that.
Does he talk about that in the thing here? He might.
He might. I know that's like his last Elm Street thing he designed. That was it.
Actually, now that you say that, I think I might have known that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, because he has all this hidden shit in here. He's got the snake thing hidden in here, the other little Freddy doodads and stuff that he always hides in his in his art. Yeah, but they never did use his art for Nightmare 5s because
they never used that for that. And then like Freddy's Dead, I don't think he did Freddy's Dead.
No, they didn't use his version. It's on the soundtrack, but not on the poster.
Right. So that was like his that's why they got him back for that, because that was like his last time he could do something like that.
That's cool.
That's cool. Yeah. And Brian Barth wants to know, why didn't they interview Johnny Depp? Was he too successful by then?
Yes.
Yep. Pretty much.
Probably didn't know how to get a hold of him, or couldn't get a hold of him.
Yeah, it would have been like we said, most of these were crowdfunded or put together by people who are just really big fans, and sometimes you just don't have the money to get somebody like Johnny Depp once they become a subject like that.
More so just knowing who to get a hold of.
Because
even people like Robert Meyer Burnett, the first thing he asked me is like, "How the fuck did you get a hold of Robert Shea? I was trying to get a hold of him while I was working on the DVDs for Lord of the Rings." Like, oh, I guess I know people who know people, and sometimes that's what it takes, is just to know people.
Yeah, you just got to know the right person.
Like recently that Bill Moseley situation. It sounds like that was just some miscommunication between Vinegar Syndrome and Bill Moseley's people. So go figure, that shit happened.
This is going to suck because he's a big part of that, and
I'm sure there's some legacy stuff that he's a part of. But yeah, it would have been nice, considering he is still a very big supporter of the franchise, and he's still kind of really, if you think about it, he's kind of the quote unquote face of the franchise, even though he's only been in one movie technically.
Yeah, he's just in that one. It's just like it's so memorable. So.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, but that is a really good documentary. And like I said, them are actually pretty cheap Blu-rays. You can get them. And if you can't get them, you can always get Shudder, and I'm pretty sure they're still on Shudder. That and Crystal Lake Memories, which is another really great, made by the same people.
Yes, and that's another great one too. I recommend highly. I think it's even longer than this one, but that's just because there's that many more movies. Although there is
Yeah.
some overlap with the Freddy versus Jason parts, you can tell they used a lot of the same
Hmm.
interviews, but I don't blame them. You
I
know,
mean, once you got all that, you could just put it in both.
yeah.
So can't blame them. But it is a really great, comprehensive documentary, and I really enjoy it. Now I'm gonna have to go back and see it because it's been a few years since I've seen it, and it is. I love the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I'm like you. That was something I was really into, and I thank that to my older brother because that was his favorite, and it was just something about Robert Englund and Wes Craven and how that all worked together, and it just I love those movies, and I
No,
love hearing about them.
and Freddy's Claw is just so ingenious,
It
right?
is.
And just the whole story, it feels like it's almost like a ancient, tale that's been told from time to time to time. And Freddy, so that's what I love about New Nightmare as
Me
well.
too.
Like, because it does Freddy does have that feeling like this, just like he's been a story that's passed down from generation to generation since way back when. And this is just the modern version of him because the between the claws and just the idea of, you know, a man being taken out or a villain or criminal being taken out by vigilante justice. And then because of that, him getting this second chance to continue to do his worst,
Hmm.
and just the whole idea of the concept. It just seems so
It,
primal, right?
yeah,
Like
it's
there's
something
just
that's
something
like
about it.
kids have nightmares, and it's like something that your parents tell you, and not to worry about it. It's very biblical
Yeah,
in a
there's a
sense
biblical
too.
part
Yeah,
to
there's
it. Like it
biblical
almost
side
feels
to
like
it.
it could be a story out of the Bible almost.
Hmm. It's like a man who was this type of evil being who was
Oh, this the
granted
devil's
the
greatest
devil's. Yeah,
creation.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that was what I love that when Wes Craven explained that he just wanted to think of the most vile creature on the planet, the worst thing in the world. And if he wasn't given a fair trial, like the devil found a loophole to send his greatest creation back to Earth,
Hmm.
kind of thing. But it's through dreams instead of it being, and he made him even more dangerous and even more, disgusting and revolting than he ever could have been before. Because not only now does he continue to do what he did before, but he's doing it in a way that's even more invasive, right? Like he's literally
Right.
getting in their head. So, like, yeah.
And it's great. It truly is.
And
It,
Robert Englund always had his said things too. He's like, he knows what's your deepest secrets, your deepest fears. He knows what's in your underwear drawer.
Yep, yep.
Like I
Because he's
love how
been
he
in
put,
your head.
yeah.
It is. It's so great. It's just. Uh, now, though, I will admit I have not seen part two. It's probably the one I've seen the least in a long, long time. It was
It
never my
holds up
favorite.
better than you'd think.
Yeah, that's why I've been meaning to, with all the talk, which we'll get into it here very soon. I know we will. Like with all the
Mhm.
talk of like sequels that went in a different direction of horror movies. That is when it really didn't go in a different direction. It wasn't really the gay stuff because honestly, I never really latched onto that until I got older and people started telling me, that movie's like, I was like,
An
no, I
allegory.
didn't like it. Never really
Now, my
registered in
issue is
my
the
head.
third act, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I just never, I don't know. I
Once
just
they
never
leave
really
the party,
connected with that one.
once they leave the party and go to the into the third act, to me is where it just kind of goes off the rails. It almost feels like a different movie for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't know what it is about it. And I've watched it several times over because there's a lot of iconic moments in
Yeah,
there too.
like you are all my children
And like I
now.
didn't
And
even really realize that was quote unquote the bad one until later.
same here, same here. But I just never really found myself
Yeah.
liking it, revisiting it. But I never really thought it was the bad one.
I just don't like the ending. For some reason, that third act feels off. Because it seems like it takes forever, even though it's like 10, 15 minutes. Because like once they leave the party though, and they go to the boiler room, and she, runs into the dogs, and then she finds Jesse, and then Jesse transforms, and they have the whole thing with the kiss, and it just all starts to feel like it's a different fucking movie or something weird's going on. Like it's just like what are we doing here? This doesn't feel like it just something's off.
Yeah.
And then the ending again just feels tacked on like the first movie.
Hmm.
Some off, like it's like, okay, so you're just repeating the first movie when you had up to this point a kind of an original take on the first film. Because I don't
Right.
hate it. I don't hate it. I see the faults in it. It still somewhat fits within the mythos, but not really because
It's kind of
yes,
like on the outside.
yeah, I mean, if you look at it in a sense that nobody else is seeing Freddy but him, and it is
Hmm.
usually when he falls asleep. So, it's this idea that he's using this kid to kill people. Only when he like technically like just actually comes through the body, which is actually some of the cooler parts, let's be real, as far as the effects go. But that's where I kind of start to question the logic and it becomes a little bit out there. But hey, it's fucking Freddy Krueger, and
It's Freddy Krueger, man.
there's some weirder shit they do later on in the series. So at that point, I didn't have a problem with that. Didn't have a problem with the gay thing. Just that third act for some reason just feels off, and there's something about it that's it doesn't feel very well resolved.
So
I never could put my finger on it.
That was me, because like I didn't know the gay stuff till later. Honestly, I didn't, but I did know that the movie did fell off to me, and it was one where it was like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that one. So I usually when I watch the Nightmare on Elm Streets, I kind of skip that one, and it's been quite a few years since I've seen the second one. I have not watched the second one in probably a good 20 years, whereas like the other ones I've seen multiple times. So I've been meaning to rewatch.
The weird thing is when you rewatch it, I think you'll notice that, funnily enough, Jack Shoulder, being a little bit more experienced director at that time and a little bit more commercial director, whatever you want to call it, it is the slickest looking of the Nightmare films as far as like between how it's shot, how it's edited, up until that third act. Which that's part of the problem, because the rest of the film is actually very, very lit very differently than the first film. It's not nearly as dark. So once you get to the dark bits at the end, especially on videotape back in the day, that was my other problem, is you couldn't see what was going on half the time.
Right.
Like that was my, and when you had the Video Treasures version that was like a dub of a dub of a dub, it looks like shit. Like, and that was the version I seen the most. So like for years until I seen it on DVD, and that's kind of when I kind of fell in love with it again, was when it was on DVD. Because I'm like, oh, I can actually fucking see shit now. Because that last act on video for some reason was just muddy as hell. And you couldn't see anything. And I don't even remember, you couldn't even see the faces on the dogs. That's where, like, when I first time, I never saw that before other than in pictures. I'm like, I don't remember that scene. And my buddy's like, oh yeah, it's the scene when they go in, when she goes into the boiler, into the warehouse or whatever, it's the boiler room. I'm like, there's dogs, but I don't remember having faces of children. He's like, yeah. Like, I don't see it. Do you see it? Like, it's so dark that you can't see it. And because of the way the dub was, I probably never saw the SP version. That's probably why.
Probably, yeah. It's always, yeah. But it's been so, like, I remember I oftentimes I forget about the dog's faces because, like I said, it's been so long. But yeah, I do remember that, and I have been meaning to go back and rewatch part 2 for quite some time. Maybe I'll do it, this year for Halloween, because it truly is. It's probably been about 20 years since I've seen part 2, but I can count on the hands how many times I've watched part 1, part 3, part 4, part 5, part 6, New Nightmare. I've watched them multiple times in the past years. I could probably recite most of them. But part 2, it's just like I didn't like it the first time, and it's not the gay. It wasn't the gay stuff. So
no, part 3 is the one that really stands out for most people, and it's probably the one I've seen the most.
Right.
Because I remember rewatching that on almost a loop back in the day. Between that and 4 were the two that we watched the most as kids. It was just over and over those two. But no, I'm glad they did this documentary, and a lot of these people are not a lot. Some of these people are no longer with us. So, that's important. But yeah, sorry, I got the hiccups.
That's okay. But yeah, it is a really, really good documentary, and which also something that we didn't bring up earlier, the story of It, the 1992 It, which is a very similar documentary like this.
The catalyst for me bringing these on tonight.
Yeah. That is coming out, I believe, next month on Blu-ray. It's going to tell the story of the 1992 It, the making of it. It's got all new interviews with all the cast that's still alive from that one, and Tim Curry, and tons of never before seen footage, pictures, everything from behind the scenes, which will go right along with your Never Sleep Again and Camp Crystal Lake Memories documentaries.
And I have another one tonight that kind of spawned them all, and we'll talk about that in just my next pick.
All right. I guess I'll go ahead and go for my first pick. Now, I've talked about this movie multiple times on here and on my channel, and I don't think I've ever brought it on here, but if anybody that's been here for a while and remembers, let me know. But I have for you guys My Boyfriend's Back, Sean S. Cunningham production. I actually really like this movie. This is a really funny, good movie. This was something we haven't mentioned in a while as well too. I have the Mill Creek version, which Tom has the the Kino
Kino
Lorber
Lorber
one.
version. Yeah.
So yeah,
I
but
might even have that one, but I don't think I do. I think I just have the Kino
I
one.
think they have the same cover too. To be honest with you,
Yeah, they do.
yeah,
Pretty much.
yeah. So yeah,
See, what's
but I
weird is the one on the back is the actual video cover.
I know that's because you look on the back and it's there. That right there. Why
Yeah,
didn't they
that's the
just do that
video
in
cover.
front?
I don't know.
But I recently watched this movie for the first time in a couple years, and I really dig it. I think it's a really funny movie. I just love the fact that when he dies and he comes back as a zombie, nobody is legitimately scared of him. They treat him like he's the second class. It's I don't want to use the words because I know like with YouTube stuff, but it's very much like race and stuff. Like they call her
Now,
zombie horror and all this.
you
stuff.
interviewed Adam Marcus, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I did.
So now, did you
Yeah.
guys talk about this one too?
Yes, we did. We talked a
Okay,
little
so he
bit about
probably
it.
told you probably some of the same stuff he did me,
Right.
because I interviewed him as well. And yeah, the original script and what this became are two different movies, basically. And I would really like to see his version of it, but
I would too.
Because he said it started more of as a dark comedy, as more of an allegory for the gay community and AIDS epidemic at the time.
Yeah.
And how people were treating each other within their own community because of the epidemic and how the world was viewing it and the whole thing. So it actually wasn't meant to be such a cutesy wootsy kind of movie.
Yeah, love story. But I mean, I would love to see his version, but I really do like this version. I do love this story. I love the comedy in this, and to be honest, a lot of the reasons why it became the way it is Disney, because this was a Touchstone Pictures, and that's the only people they could sell it to, and so they lightened it up. And the original title, Johnny Zombie, is actually in the movie. It's at the theater he goes to where. They're showing a zombie movie. I can't remember the zombie movie they're going to see, but below it says also Johnny Zombie, and that's where we also get to see Matthew McConaughey in the theater too, in his very first film appearance next to.
I forgot that.
Yeah, what was the other movie? The first movie was All Right.
Texas Chainsaw Man, and he did the Texas Chainsaw one before, and then he did Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, Dazed and Confused, and this was like one of his first two.
But they didn't release Texas until after Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, till after Dazed and Confused. Yeah. But I really do enjoy this movie. Johnny is your typical, high school kid, even though they all look like they're in their 30s. As a matter of fact, the girl that he falls in love with is the same girl from Fright Night Part 2, which I never knew that till the rewatch. So, Brewster's girlfriend in Part 2. Yeah. And she's freaking smoking hot in that. Speaking of which I never get to use. So here you go.
That's why I want you to eat me. Don't you want to eat me?
Well,
actually, now that you showed me that and reminded me of this movie a little bit more, because it's been a long time since I watched it.
Yeah, it's been
even
a while.
I haven't even cracked it open yet. But that's weird. Is it was kind of ahead of its time. It's almost like zombie porn.
Yeah.
We're getting to the point where we're going to start getting movies like that. Like I Fell in Love with a Zombie.
Well, we did with what's that movie called? I actually own it too. The guy that played Beast in the X-Men movies, the young version. I can't remember his name, but him and this blonde, she falls in love with a zombie, and I cannot remember the name of that movie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
New. It's kind of similar to My Boyfriend's Back, but My Boyfriend's Back is better. But I can't remember the name of it, and I actually own it.
I just have a feeling that this is going to be like the next round.
Yeah, you never know. Cool, they did the vampire crap. Now they do the zombies. So zombies are
vampires. Hot. It'll be the same thing with zombies. Yeah, zombies are hot.
Yeah, but I do really enjoy this movie. It is like the humor gets me. I know I get that it was supposed to be darker and everything, and the reason for why they treat him the way they do, which is left out of the story, because there was supposed to be a whole community of zombies living under the cemetery, so that's why people were like used to it when he comes back. In that, it's only explained like one other person came back, and they weren't really even sure about that.
Now that you talked about it,
more bodies.
I remember now. Yep.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but it's funny, and I don't understand why they changed it to My Boyfriend's Back, because he's not even her boyfriend. He just wants to date her. It's one of those scenarios where like he's the nerdy, like normal average kid who wants the hot
It's
girl.
so they could use the song.
Yeah, it's just so they could use the song, and he comes up with a plan to ask her out, and have his friend rob the store and save her life, and then a real robber shows up and kills him, and he asks her out as he dies.
I wouldn't doubt it if it was like Pretty Woman worked. This is a romance like Pretty Woman. Can we get a pop song in this as the title?
You know, it's funny. I don't know if it's because it's Mill Creek or not, but it's not even in the movie. Not even in this movie.
I don't remember if they ever used it in the. I swear it was in the trailers, though.
It's in the trailer, but it's not in the movie as far as I can tell.
That's what I mean. They could at least bank on it for the trailer. Because you had a slew of those kind of movies. We even got to a point where there's movies with weird names of titles of songs that had nothing to really do with the movie. You know,
right.
like Stand By Me kind of started it, and that's loosely enough to where you could go, yeah, I can see why you changed the title because the body is so generic, but Stand By Me kind of works. Lean On Me works for that movie, but then after that, you start getting movies with like some of the names of some of these songs. It's just like, that has nothing to do with that song.
Yeah, it's like, why is that? It doesn't make sense. They're just
so
using
they
the
could
name.
do a new version of the song, and yeah.
But it was good. I hadn't watched it in a few years, and I was like, I really like this. And plus, that the chick in the movie is pretty smoking hot. And I remember her being smoking hot in Fright Night too, I was like, that's an upgrade, Brewster.
Honestly, to be honest with you, if I was in the room, I'd be one who would vote for My Boyfriend's Back. It's more clever, it's catchy, it's memorable, it's a play on the song.
Yeah, you got to admit, I mean, it works. It sells the movie.
It's a joke in and of itself.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
And I mean, they do sort of play it up in the movies, like when he goes, I died for you. I came out of the grave for you. And then all the other girls are like, my boyfriend won't even pump gas for me. So it's like, I just love the humor.
My memory of that movie is sadly like the trailer is funnier than the actual movie. That's the problem. Like as a concept, as a comedy, it works. But I think the movie would have been more poignant and had more staying power had it been closer to Adam's original vision.
A little more darker humor.
Yeah, because as is, it's just kind of a toss away goof. It works better as a parody trailer than it does an actual film. But if you did it the other way, where it was actually an allegory for the AIDS epidemic at the time, then you got a little bit more substance to it, right? Because then it almost feeds into the idea of into the idea of kind of like how Romero, every one of his movies, they were fun on their surface, but they always had some underlying commentary.
Like consumerism with Dawn of the Dead.
And Dawn of the Dead, and at the time, and especially Day of the Dead was the Reagan era.
Yeah.
And then Land of the Dead being, the separation between the classes and all that kind of shit. So he always had some kind of subtext built into the story. So like that being like an homage to Romero films, I would totally, and it would have kind of been like Shaun of the Dead before Shaun of the Dead in a way too.
Right. True. And see, kids, though, there's how you do movies where you have characters and story, and the message is subtle, not like we're getting today. Like with the Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead. I mean, yes, you can notice and recognize them, but that's not what the whole movie is about on the surface.
My Boyfriend's Back as is would have worked better as like a what would you call it, like on the Grindhouse movie is a parody trailer on there.
But I will say, it's not the best, but I really do enjoy this movie. I think it's fun. The comedy is like the trailer gives away all the best little bits in between. It is basically on the surface, it's a love story, basically. So with the zombie and the stuff on the side, but it was fun. It was fun to see Philip Seymour Hoffman in it, Matthew McConaughey, Matthew Fox, Edward Herman, Cloris Leachman. I mean, it's got a great cast. It's just it could have just expanded, like use what Adam Marcus said. That could have seen something special there. But as is, I enjoy it, and it's it's not a bad little flick to watch around the Halloween season. Especially if you got a girlfriend, so or a boyfriend, whatever you prefer. I remember that movie. I've seen Life After Beth. That's with That's sort of like that another one, Tom, like you were talking about Aubrey Plaza's and that, and the kid for the cook goblin from Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Kind of for some reason remember that one. Yeah, like I don't know if I'm sure I've seen a preview or something like that.
Except that one does actually get into the little darker aspects of this stuff, because even though he's still in love with her, he he has to, spoilers, he still has to kill her in the end because she's a monster, because that's the way it goes. But yeah, there's that for anybody that wants to see it, if you want it. What about you, Tom?
We can move along.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I'm with. I think we exhausted that one.
Probably, but like I said, now I'm going to talk about what is kind of the prototype for the Never Sleep Again and Crystal Lake Memories. I mean, there's no direct correlation that I know of, at least not that I've never checked to see if like it has some of the same producers or anything like that. Not at first glance, but this was released. Let's see here. What was the 25th? 2006. So like 2006, 2007. It's a documentary called Halloween 25 Years of Terror, and it was released by Anchor Bay, and it was kind of the prototype of a lot of these. Now, it's not one of the better ones. In fact, I would argue that Halloween kind of needs one of these, although the Blu-ray set we got a while back kind of does that split up. But it's due for one of those, because this is only like an hour and it's 84 minutes, so it's not even 90 minutes. Oh, you got it. Cool.
Yeah, I do.
You got the one with the comic book too?
Yeah, I went and grabbed it real quick while you was talking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I even got the comic book with it. Yep, there it is. I don't even have to bring it out. So you've seen it. You know what I'm talking about. It does a pretty good job of covering all the films, but it's a little light. I mean, it has great stories since it's not directly connected with any of the studios. So it does have some great stories in it. But it just feels light. But what it also has is on disc 2 is that they had a Halloween con thing. And on disc 2 is all the panels they had. So that's cool. And then plus there's extended interviews on the first disc of stuff that didn't get in the documentary. So overall you get close to 2 hours of documentary type stuff, but then you get hours and hours of panels. Like you get the Halloween panel, the Halloween 2 panel, Halloween 6, Ellie Cornell's panel, Michael Myers panel discussion. So you get a bunch of the guys who played Michael Myers, Dean Cundy panel by himself, the producers together on a panel, and then of course, just behind the scenes convention gallery, still gallery, all that kind of stuff. But it's really cool. It was kind of the prototype. It was the first one I kind of remember. I'm sure there was maybe one or two before this, but this was the first one I kind of remember like that, where it was just a doc. And I got to give Anchor Bay credit because they made it worth it buying. Because I don't even think it was that high priced.
No, and
right?
to be honest. Go ahead. I didn't want to
say they didn't re-release the movie again just so you had to buy the movie again just to get it, even though they'd done it 20 fucking times. And they did re-release it again this year. But luckily, this is the one where I've shown before with the silver case, where it had that excellent documentary, A Cut Above the Rest, which has still been carried over to this day. But that was brand new. And that almost 90-minute documentary was like, and he had interviews with everybody.
It's true.
So that was kind of cool. But like, it would be nice to put together like a Crystal Lake Memories, Never Sleep Again.
Halloween documentary.
Halloween, yeah. The night he comes home kind of thing.
We need to crowdfund that, Tom. We need to spearhead it, and we could do it.
Yeah, especially before any more of these people sadly pass away. Because they ain't getting no younger.
And they're no younger. And my favorite part, and it wouldn't be a physical media show or a FanZcene episode if I didn't bring this something up like this, is when the chick flashes the camera, shows her boobs, and then wins a walk-on role for Halloween Resurrection, and then they cut her out of the movie.
Was that what it was for? Was Halloween Resurrection?
She won a walk-on role for Halloween Resurrection. I do believe it's
what it was, because I wasn't sure because they talk about Halloween Resurrection on the making of it, so I wasn't sure if that was already out then by the time. I'm pretty sure it was Halloween Resurrection. I thought she might have won a walk on for Rob Zombies, but I could be wrong.
I think they were calling it Halloween 8 in the documentary. So they never were really
Might be
calling it
right.
Resurrection. Yeah, but all I know is like they were going to have a competition and they were going to pick somebody at random, and it just so happened the one girl that they interview shows her tits, and then all of a sudden she wins the role.
Granted, we don't know if she did that before or after, but
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But it does show up before she wins.
they imply that it happened before, so that's their fault if it did.
And then I looked it up later on because I was like, I'd never seen her in the movie, and they cut her out of the movie.
Oh, okay. So you looked it up and verified it anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
See?
Yeah, so they did cut her out of the movie.
She did get it.
Yeah.
I just figured she'd be like a kid in one of the classroom scenes in Rob Zombie's movie or something if they actually gave it to her.
Which she'd probably fit better in the Rob Zombie movies than the Resurrection and stuff because he went all full nude.
Actually, she'd have been too young for that cast. She looked like a teenager. Not that she was. I'm sure she was.
Yeah, no, she was.
I mean,
yeah.
Like that's the thing. That's my number. Well, you know what? I'll save it.
You save it.
Yeah. Was there anything else you want to say about Halloween 25 Years of Terror before we go into your next pick?
Yeah, no, it's just I do enjoy that documentary.
That might be
and I agree
a segue there.
yeah, and I do agree with you. It is a it does. We do need a Halloween documentary like Camp Crystal Lake and Never Sleep Again, and that would be something really cool. And I enjoy that documentary. Other than I know I make the boob jokes and stuff, but yeah, it is really good look at. And like you said, the panels are awesome, and I was glad to pick it up. And I what I wanted to say was, I actually didn't know this was a documentary when I bought it. When I bought it, I thought it was the first movie because I needed a copy of the first movie.
Oh shit!
And I hadn't had it on DVD yet. And I think was this around the time when DVD was just starting to become
no,
really
this would have
big?
been like the third release of it on DVD or fourth release actually.
Yeah, well, I know I hadn't had it on DVD yet, and I thought it was the first movie
because I have the one downstairs. Remember I showed last year with the silver case. That's the Digimax or whatever the hell their version of the uncompressed DVD version of the first movie. That was the final official DVD only version they released, and it came out the same year as this. And I think I bought them on the same day at the same time, if I remember right. But like, because it was for the 25th anniversary. Because even mine says 25 Years of Terror on that one too, or 25th anniversary on that one too. Yeah. I could probably go grab it here, but you've seen it before, you know.
Yeah, I've seen it. But yeah, I did think it was the first movie, but I was really happy to get it. I did send you the link.
Beg for it.
Yeah. Tell us how great your fucking Best Buy is now.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us.
Yeah, tell us, Runner. Check your DMs. I sent you the link before the show even started. Oh, that's fucking kid.
Oh, no wonder you guys didn't hear
it. But
fuck your Best Buy. Fuck your Best Buy. Fuck your Best Buy. Fuck your Best Buy. Fuck your Best Buy.
So good. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm sending it again, Runner. Hold your horses.
Acting up lately, yeah. So is Facebook. They both
really?
Yeah.
I'm not on Facebook.
A lot of stuff yeah, I've had a lot of stuff that won't go through, and vice versa. Like people send me shit, and they're like, "Well, what do you think?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Nothing came through," or I'll just have a blank.
Huh. Weird. I notice when I send messages on Twitter, it takes a minute sometimes now, and
yeah.
So it's like it's still.
For...
I'm gonna send him the link real quick, and then I think I'll just go ahead and show my.
I was gonna say, are we gonna segue because we might as well because speaking of Rob Zombie, that motherfucker's in this goddamn thing. I don't know how many goddamn times, and it still makes me wonder because he doesn't really even still. I mean, he's a fan, but he clearly isn't that big of a fan, and he even kind of says that in some of his other shit, like. Especially when in the interview where he's like, "Oh, I always liked Halloween, but I thought I could do this and that better," and so I'm trying to just make it better. So if you're somebody who's got enough hubris to turn around and say, "Oh, I can do this better," especially when you're talking about like people like John Carpenter, it's like, "Fuck you, man! Ain't nobody making Halloween better than John Carpenter." I don't give a shit.
Nobody has to this day. I still don't think people actually got what he did with that first movie. That's what I was just mentioning, which we'll get to. Yeah, we'll get to.
Oh, fuck it.
But yeah, well, I wanted to show my one more pick before we get into that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's just he always. It's something like he says he's a fan and he does all this and then even like with the monsters, I didn't get it. So
Well, and especially when he's like ragging on all the sequels in this documentary, I'm just like, motherfucker, you got no room to talk. Right? Like, you done made the worst sequel of them all. Still to this day. I don't give a shit.
yeah.
Because I even had to bite back on that one guy who said, whoever said that, or like Rob Zombie, we owe Rob Zombie an apology or something. Like, no, we don't.
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
Motherfuckers still don't understand this shit.
Nope.
And I don't care how bad Halloween Ends was. It wasn't nearly as bad as his movies. I don't give a shit. Nope.
It was bad. But if Runner, I sent you the damn link, and
All right, well, let's
hopefully
get
you can
into your
get
other
it.
pick
But I'm
then.
going to show you this pic because I know Runner's going to be chomping at the bits to want to talk about that stuff. So, this movie is the movie that desperately does need a Blu-ray, and I watched this movie, and I really enjoy this movie. I think it's an often overlooked movie, and that would be Phantoms with the Scream shitty
Affleck
poster
was a
art.
bomb and Phantoms, yo.
Ben Affleck, but I'm gonna go off the record and say no. Liev Schreiber is the freaking bomb
Underrated
in Phantoms.
actor.
Yes,
Underrated actor.
he's so great in this damn movie. Runner, I'm trying to talk here. Look at what it says. It says, "Page not found." Runner, I'll send it to you one more time here. Maybe Tom can try. I'll try it one more time, but I really enjoy Phantoms. If you guys have not seen Phantoms, which I wonder if Paramount owns this now because it's a Miramax title. I wonder how whoever has the rights to this.
They should. I was talking and I didn't realize I was muted.
Oh.
I sent it to you in the damn physical media chat. Get in here, grapes.
Yeah. Try it again. Oh, look at this. Look at this.
I'm here.
Finally.
Tom sent it and it worked.
I sent it to you twice. I don't know why it didn't work.
It didn't. You didn't send it twice. I'll prove
Yes,
it.
I
to
did.
You.
I did send it twice.
I'll prove it to you. I'm gonna send you a screenshot of your DMs. Okay.
Well, it's not my fault. Are
you sending the wrong link or what?
I sent the invite link.
Weird.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna show you what my page looks like. All right, check your DMs, Greg. I sent you a screenshot.
Runner.
You sent me one link, and it was one that said "page not found." I'm not even kidding.
Yeah. And did you see the one above it that says "just in case you can make it"? The link with the StreamYard that's there.
No.
You don't see that? I see it right there on your screenshot. How can you not see it?
Are you
busted?
No, you're
It
lying.
says, look right up where it says today on your thing, and then where it says right above that says just in case you can make it.
It doesn't say that.
Yeah.
He just busted you out. Let me go back and look here.
You know what? I'm gonna share my damn screen.
I don't know if I could show this, but I'll show you on my phone real quick.
No,
Yeah, we can see that.
I already.
If I could get it.
Just
right above there, it says just in case. I can't get it to show up, but it says just in case you can make it right above it.
Share my screen, Greg.
Oh, Runner, you Snow White mother.
Share my screen. This is my DMs.
Right there.
Just in case you can make it.
Just in
right
case
there.
you can make it. The big old link right
StreamYard
there.
link. And that is the proper link. I don't know why you're not having.
I said just in case you can make it.
No, that's me.
That says 6:45 p.m.
What the? Oh my god! But you see where it says today on the bottom of that?
It's
Yeah, that is
like we
weird.
said. Twitter's messed up though.
No,
I don't know
you
why.
motherfucker! I sent you that link so you can
For
join
what?
my stream yesterday.
Oh, that was.
Oh
yeah, he's right. He's right.
Oh
That's
yeah,
on the right.
you know what? You're right. You're right.
He's
Okay,
right.
okay, you got me. But yeah,
I'll take
I
back
sent you a very similar message too. That said the same thing.
Well, I didn't.
Wonder
well,
if I sent the
didn't
link
get
to
it.
somebody else.
Well, I
Check it.
didn't.
Now that
well,
I think
didn't
about
get
it,
Uh-oh. Now what'd you do?
I didn't do
Oh,
nothing.
and look at Dan Blackroyd. Oh, I believe Greg. Well, guess what? I proved him fucking wrong. So there you go. Suck my dick.
He still believes me because I
He's
did
allowed,
send it to you.
man. I believed him for a minute too until I really realized, oh no, I'm looking at it wrong. Okay, I got it.
I know I sent that link to him, man. I know I did. I don't
now
know
that
why it
everybody
didn't
can
go
get in the
through.
stream if they wanted to.
Yeah, now everybody can click on it.
Well, they can't click on it, but if you know how to do it, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
But anyway,
But
I shouldn't
anyway,
say that.
yeah, don't say that. We'll talk about Phantoms here real quick.
Phantoms, yo.
Phantoms, yo. This was a great. Then we'll get
I've
into
been
the
meaning
big
to-
conversation here.
I've been meaning to watch. I've been meaning to watch that movie.
This movie is great. It's Dean Koontz. He wrote the screenplay as well. It's very much Lovecraftian, which though I do know they cut out a lot of the Lovecraftian stuff for the movie. They didn't put it in the movie, but it's pretty much Rose McGowan, the woman that plays her sister. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything ever but this movie. They're coming. She's the doctor of the small town. She's bringing her sister there. Everybody's gone. Everybody's dead. They don't know what the hell's going on. Ben Affleck's the sheriff. Liev Schreiber's his deputy. And I love Liev Schreiber in this movie. He's so great because he's so creepy to begin with. Like the whole atmosphere is like the small town, like very much like H.P. Lovecraft, Stephen King, Dean Koontz. The small town's gone. They don't know what's going on. And just the fact that Liev Schreiber is this really weird guy. He's hitting on Rose McGowan. He's touching the dead bodies inappropriately. He's just like this really weird guy. And it's fun. And then like this, it's like this ancient evil has come over. It's like what they say, we got the Croatoan, wiped out all these people and stuff. And it wants Peter O'Toole, who's like a tabloid journalist, it wants him to write its gospel. So they bring him into the town, and it's very much like the Blob too. It just works. I really love it. And a funny story real quick is it plays the song Patsy Cline's I Fall to Pieces. And I was watching this and my mom came in, and she sat down and she hates scary movies because she legitimately gets scared real bad. And she goes, "Why are they playing that song? I won't be able to listen to that song anymore in this setting because of this movie." And then like after the movie's over, I walked away and it had been a few minutes, and I got on my phone. I brought up Patsy Cline, I Fall to Pieces, and I held it to her ear when she wasn't looking, and she jumped up and screamed and said, "Greg, what is that?" So I scared the shit out of her with it. It was hilarious. It was
Now you
fun.
just got to watch Final Destination with her and start playing Rocky Mountain High.
Yeah, Rocky Mountain High. But Phantoms, I would love a Blu-ray of this. It was really, really good. I haven't seen it in a long time, and it's really creepy. I think it holds up still. So, yeah. But that's that. And I know Runner hasn't seen it. Tommy ain't seen it in a while, so.
Not since the days of videotape.
Which it doesn't have a Blu-ray. It just has this DVD. It's only $10 on DVD. The DVD plays pretty good, but it needs that upgrade. So Paramount, give me Phantoms on Blu-ray. I'd appreciate it.
I'm sure.
And don't try to double dip me on that shit.
Yeah, that'd be my question. Are they going to do a 4K scan and double dip us?
Yeah.
What has Runner got for us? Because I'm
Yeah, Runner, you want to show something first before we get to the big conversation of the night?
Yeah. I brought 4 picks, but I may or may not even show them. I'm not working tomorrow, so I can stay up later tonight.
Well, we kind of.
nice.
I'll just put it in the private.
That's what I was about to do.
Oh yeah, can you tell me what your
Go
picks
for
were?
it, Greg.
I did. You go ahead and show your first pick, and then we'll get to the big conversation for the night, because Tom's last pick will lead to that, Runner, if you're in the private chat.
Okay, because there's really only like 2 picks I want to show for today, to be honest.
We'll just hold both up right now.
I'll hold both up?
Yeah, do it both right now. We'll talk about them real quick before we get to the big conversation.
All right, so one of them is an older 80s movie, and one of them is a very recent movie, both on 4K. I got them both from Best Buy. I know Greg hates that, but...
Fuck yeah, Best Buy.
I already played it.
Now, see, I wish we should have told him about the other one.
Yeah. Oh, we were going to hold off that second one until next week. So just pretend you didn't show that for a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sucks because I was going to watch Bullet Train 2 before tonight, and I never got to it. I got the steelbook of it.
I've seen it once, and it was at the theater. It's a good movie. Really good movie.
You fucking cheater.
What?
You're supposed to watch the Blu-ray too. So I can't
not
ask
gonna
you,
watch
did it look good? You wouldn't know because you didn't watch it.
No, but I saw it in the theater.
What does that have to do with how the fucking Blu-ray looks, though?
You mean the 4K?
Uh-huh.
Well, I'll watch it. I'll watch it over the weekend just to
I'm
see
just
how
fucking
it
with you.
looks.
Valiant actually told us earlier that it looks amazing. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Well, I mean, it's Sony, so I'm not surprised.
They do a good job. Yeah, it's mostly shot in 4K, and it has they must have done like a filmed release of it too, because it actually has a film print, which is weird,
But no, Bullet Train, fun movie. Brad Pitt kicks ass. Who else is in this? Aaron Taylor Johnson's pretty good. The guy who played Scorpion in that shitty Mortal Kombat movie is really good in it. Michael Shannon's decent. Other than that, it's a fun movie. It's kind of like John Wick, Nobody, John Wick / Nobody in a train.
Die Hard too.
Yeah, a little bit of Die Hard. Sandra Bullock's in it for like 2 minutes.
Okay. I
Yeah,
love your reviews.
spoiler, I didn't know she was in it.
She's in the goddamn trailer.
I don't remember her in the trailer.
I do.
Fine, I'll let you slide this time.
Oh, and there's also this little kitten thing right there. I don't know what you call it. Right there.
A kitten.
Yeah,
It looks like a kitten.
Like a little kitty.
Or is it like a fucking
Like Hello Kitty or
Pikachu
something?
thingy or whatever?
Yeah,
those
whatever.
Pokemons?
It's not a Pokemon thing. It's some. Well, it's some. I don't know what you call it. I don't know what you call it.
I love when Rudder tries to describe movies, even movies he knows he sees and he likes.
What I like better is
okay,
he says the same thing over and over, like, I don't know what you call it.
I don't know what you call it. I don't know
like he
what you
thinks
call
he's
it.
going to get the answer, but I do the same thing. So
No,
I
I know.
can't
I'm
really
like,
make fun
I'm
of
like,
him.
well, no, it's a thing from fucking Tokyo, so I don't know what you call those things. But Brad Pitt punched one of those things.
Pokemon, ain't that what they're from Japan?
A Manaki Nikki, according to
Niki?
Cryam.
Nikki?
Yeah,
Niki,
sure.
Niki, Naki is the wise way.
Sure, if that's what they're called. But no, if you're wanting a good like dumb action flick, this is it.
That's the island reading that was sent to you. No, that's gonna be stuck in my head.
That's what I
and all I can see is cousin Eddie flipping the fucking.
I can't swim, Clark.
I know that, Eddie. I know. It's just like he makes you wonder. It's like
bricks.
if he really knew that the whole time, were you planning on drowning him or what?
I'm sure we'll get into that conversation when we get to 4K.
I know that movie. I love. Oh, Christmas Vacation is.
I love that movie.
It's almost one of those rare films where maybe, just maybe, the third film might be better than the first one.
Yes, it's true.
How do we go from Bullet Train to?
I don't know because we love you.
Because of this.
Christmas Vacation.
But as far as Cryam, where are you at? Because if you got the steelbook from Zavi, I feel sorry for you because it's also at Best Buy, and you could have got it already because Zavi takes forever. But if you're outside of the U.S., then I understand.
I'm surprised Runner didn't get the steelbook at his Best Buy
because they didn't have any steelbooks at my Best Buy.
That's the other thing. It's probably twice as much as he paid for that too. How much did you pay for that 4K?
$30.
Oh, okay. $10 more, $12 more is what I paid for the fucking steelbook, man.
Yeah, I know. I saw this. I saw the price for the steelbook. That's well. I mean, you get little posters with it. I'm guessing that's why it cost that much.
They're not worth that much. They're just little fucking postcards, is all they are.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I feel like that's why they priced it up a bit. Because I don't think Sony's ever really done that for.
Not that much. Not for that much. No, that's actually a pretty high end price from Sony.
Yeah. You know,
usually it's Warner Brothers who charges that much. Sorry, Greg.
I was gonna say I want to see that movie, but I don't think I want to spend $30 on it.
Warner Brothers notoriously is the one who likes to charge that high price, which. Yeah.
I mean, I like the movie and I want it with the slipcover, so I was just like,
not a bad looking slipcover. Actually, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I can't speak to the art on the steelbook. But
Yeah.
maybe I'll bring it next week when I watch it.
The Walmart exclusive cover looks a lot better, in my opinion, or looks slightly better.
I don't think I've seen that one.
I have seen it. It's like hand drawn and all that. Some artist like penciled like their own like poster or whatever. It looked pretty cool, but I never go to my Walmart anymore because they fucking suck.
Well, fuck your Best Buy. That's all I gotta say.
Well, fuck your Walmart because your Walmart's better than mine.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Well, Best Buy is better all around.
Best Buy even still better than the Walmart I have, even with its little kiosk in the middle of the store. Oh, look.
Do they not even sell like the Shout Scream Factory titles over in your Best Buy?
Yeah, they do. They just like the bigger titles of like they know what will sell. Not all of them.
No, because like I don't know. I feel like because I've seen like you know, do you ever watch videos of like people doing like physical media hunting and stuff, and they go to their Best Buy? Like, I feel like Shout's been like, I feel like almost every Best Buy like has like some Shout factory stuff.
Yeah, they specialize in it. They make some for them. Yeah, so
okay.
Yeah.
I'm like your Best Buy can't be that fucking bad. Like, there's got to be some good stuff where you're at.
Yeah. But any final words on Bullet Train or anything before we get into our final topic of the night? Because I know Tom's pick and my last pick, I know we should have got with you earlier, are going to lead into a big conversation, which I will probably clip this conversation for a video after we get started. So do you want anything you want to say about Bullet Train?
I gotta rewatch it, so nothing really much to say. You should watch it, Greg.
I do want to watch it, but it's just I love the way you talk about movies sometimes.
What? Because I didn't know what a fucking.
It's like I love this movie. It's awesome. How was it? I don't know. I didn't watch it yet.
I've seen it once. God damn it! If I didn't see it at all, I wouldn't show it today.
I know, but it's just like that cracks me up. Like, you've seen it, but you're like, I don't know. I haven't watched it since I got it.
No, I haven't seen it since it was playing in the fucking theater.
But I do want to see it. But if you guys are ready, Tom, you want to get into our? I mean, I hope everybody's ready for this.
Did you not hear the part where I said it's a fun action movie?
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, so clearly I've seen it.
You've seen it, but you didn't see the Blu-ray.
I've seen it, but I didn't see the Blu-ray.
Well, I don't give a fuck about the Blu-ray. I give a fuck about the 4K.
Oh, that's what the show is called, Physical Media Show.
Yeah, but I didn't buy the 4K to watch.
You cheated.
On Blu-ray. I watched it for the 4K.
Whatever. You didn't watch the disc. You want to get like fucking semantics. Jeez.
It's called the 4K Blu-ray. So
you want to talk about semantics? You didn't watch it anyway.
Are you okay, Tom?
No, I'm just picking on you.
We're just teasing you, Renner, because we haven't had you on here for a bit.
Yeah, we gotta let it all out. All right, let's talk about this because you brought one and I brought one that's related to this. And do you want to start with yours or do you want me to start?
I'll go ahead. I'll show mine real quick because
we already kind of talked a little bit about this.
Yeah, and plus I do. This actually does. I'm kind of glad I did brought this because I do remember reading something that will bleed into this conversation from the actress that plays Laurie Strode in this one. So we're going to talk some Halloween stuff for you if you're not sick of it yet. But I do have actually have a Halloween Rob Zombie steelbook.
Is that that just the extended or the director's cut?
Just the extended director's cut. It's not a bad looking steelbook, and I'll be honest with you. I typically do not buy stuff I don't like, and I know it's kind of weird. I got two Rob Zombie movies that I really don't like, with the Munsters and this, but the Munsters was free from my mom because
I can't say shit. I got them too.
Yeah, so but I don't buy things I don't like, but I keep coming back to this one because as shitty as it is, there's something in there that could bleed into a good movie. And I know we've talked about it before, Tom, what we would do with it and stuff, but there's just something in there, and it is a shit movie. But
well, that was kind of what I was going to say earlier, so I might as well just say it now. Like,
yeah, go ahead.
as far as Rob Zombie goes, it's his best looking film.
It's true. It's true.
Right? Like, as far as cinematography, the production value, the amount of money probably spent on it, all that kind of stuff, it is his best looking film. It may even be his best crafted film. The Devil's Rejects is the only other one I might put in there as a possibility. But that being said, it's really just basically a really semi-decent cover song, right? But it's like the cover song that didn't quite get the original.
He's like, yeah. He's like, I can do that. I can do what the original did. Check it out. And it's like, no.
Yeah, it's like, no, yeah, I get what you're going for there, but I don't think the song was ever calling for that much cowbell, kind of a thing. Like, it just, it kind of reminds me of like some of the things he does with songs. Like, listen to Boogeyman. Like, that's kind of a great example, right? Like, I like his version of it, and he's being kind of ironic, tongue in cheek, but it doesn't translate when you're talking about movies and stories. A song is one thing. You can mess with a song because like the original Boogeyman is just supposed to be like a dancing song. I'm your boogeyman, and then when he does it for his, he even has, and it's ironic because he has the boogeyman's gonna get you, the boogeyman's gonna get you. He samples that throughout the song over and over again. But his version is more of a I'm your boogeyman, kind of a scary, kind of little off kilter version of it. And that's kind of what he does here.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work.
Pretty much.
And the reason it doesn't work is because he kind of fundamentally misunderstood what made Michael Myers scary in the first place.
Which I think.
That being said,
yes, go ahead.
I do like this version of Loomis. It's a different take. I like the different take.
And I think he was the only one that was in on it because he's like, no, I didn't go back and watch Donald Pleasance at all. Whereas, like, Rob Zombie's seen the movies and he's like, I can do that better.
No, and so that's more of like just a happy happenstance because you just have a great fucking actor to work with.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
I mean,
Malcolm McDowell is a great actor.
Yeah, Malcolm McDowell. I mean, come on. And it was kind of inspired casting in a way. And I'm glad he didn't just do a complete repeat of that. I like this version of that character. That being said, there's nothing else about this movie I can say other than it was nice to see what's-her-face back playing.
Danielle Harris.
Danielle Harris, yeah, from 4 or 5.
Which is going to talk about her and Scout Teller, whatever her name is, who played Lori in this.
I didn't hate Scout so much. She was okay, but she doesn't have the presence that Jamie Lee Curtis did.
Yeah, and they had some words and some troubles at the Halloween Ends premieres. So
really? Yeah,
which we're going to get to. You want to go ahead and show yours real quick before we get into all that?
Sure, why not? I rewatched in preparation for Halloween Ends. I rewatched Halloween Kills.
Oh, you got the steelbook of that one.
And I bought, it's the extended cut as well. I watched this time, which it's not really all that different, other than the very, very ending, from what I could recall from watching it.
I was gonna say, I think it's just the ending.
There's maybe a few extra bits of gore and stuff here and there, but nothing really stood out to me. Oh my God, it's Tommy Doyle, aka Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, yeah. Evil dies tonight.
See a ghost?
Maybe.
Yeah, so in preparation, did it hold up as well? Not quite, but I think I ended up liking it more.
I've only seen it once, and I did enjoy it for what it was. Even if it, like, objectively, I can say it's not a great movie, but
yes, objectively, it is a very bad film.
It is, but it's a fun, cheesy bad film.
Yeah, exactly. That's why.
Subjectively, I love it to death because of all those reasons, and I actually probably like it more than the 2018 movie, because to me, the 2018 movie still is a little too pretentious for its own good. This one doesn't pretend to be anything more than what it is.
Right.
And that is just a cheesy throwback to 80s slasher films. Because at first glance, I know a lot of people are like, everything they're ripping on is what I love about it. Right? It's almost ironic that this whole series exists because of some fans' issues and John Carpenter's issues with Halloween 2. And they turn around and make the same mistakes. And it makes you almost wonder if they're doing it on purpose in this film.
I almost feel like he did purposely.
Because you got Laurie Strode in a goddamn hospital bed for more of the movie.
Then the last
Halloween 2,
yeah.
which is a big problem, and everybody's main gripe, and John Carpenter's biggest problem is he couldn't figure out what the fuck to do with Laurie.
Yeah.
Like he didn't know what the hell to do with her and how to make this all shit work. And at that point, so you have kind of a throwback to that. I also just love, like, I know people hate the evil dies tonight line, but watching Halloween again last week, the original, and watching Halloween 5 with Loomis and Halloween 6 and stuff, it just reminds me, that's the kind of shit that Loomis goes around, and he says it 12 times in every movie, some variation thereon. The evil just escaped. We must kill him just to stop the evil. It's always something like that. So all the people saying that evil dies tonight is just kind of like, to me, just an homage to Loomis. But I understand why people hate it.
So let's see, I'm in a little bit of a different boat than you, because I actually like 2018 better than I like Kills. I think it's
I like it
fitting
more now.
Me too.
I think it's a fitting opening, and it probably should have just ended there. I think you could have really just
hated it at the time it came out, dude.
I get that too. I understand that too. I understand people's hate for 2018 as well. And I'm with you. Halloween Kills, I watched like 3 times the weekend it came out, because I had to watch it with like my dad and my brother, like that. And I have just like mixed feelings about it, but I don't hate it. It is a bad movie, but I have fun. It's a fun watch. I love the flashbacks. Even the shit I know people hate it, like the Evil Dies Tonight, which I brought up. That's kind of grown on me, because it's so bad and cheesy that it's just like you start saying Evil Dies Tonight, you can just get a good laugh at seeing these people act stupid like that, and it's a fun watch. Yeah,
I mean, it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I know some people hated Terminator, Michael, like Dan Blackwood here. It does kind of like go against like even though he's like the shape of evil, he's like this human kid that nobody explains why he did what he did, why he's doing what he's doing. But also that's kind of fun to watch too, just to see him get up and just like, okay, you're just going to let him go and rampage on these people. What the hell? Why not just go with it? So
well, actually, that's what kind of bothered me about it anyway, because in the beginning of the movie, he takes out an entire fucking team of fucking firemen.
Yeah, it's true.
Like paper dolls. And then he gets his ass beat by every grandpa in town and 100-pound lady.
Dude, what chick even had like a iron or something?
Granted, they're directly going after him. I'll give him that. So like when he gets up and he starts killing everybody, I had 0 problems with that. To me, that was the equivalent of the Jason going crazy in the hayfield scene
and Freddy
versus Jason. My issue was the death of Tommy Doyle there.
Yeah,
and
I didn't like
them
that
not
at
just
all.
finishing this fucker off, and that will get us into Halloween Ends. Because let's be real, it should have just. I wouldn't have cared if that movie's 2.5 hours long. If they would have just slapped basically a similar, like, kind of concept. And what I said was just, you have Laurie's daughter just got killed. She picks up the knife. She goes out of the hospital. You keep Tommy alive, and he and Lindsay see her, and they're like, "Where are you going?" She's like, "I know where Michael's at, and I'm going to get him."
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Not alone, you're not." And then you have the last 3 survivors of Halloween 1978 together to go beat down Michael Myers. And in the fight, after Michael gets killed, Laurie being so injured, I kind of like how Aunt May was in Spider-Man No Way Home. Like,
Right.
at first you don't realize how badly hurt she is, but all her stitches come undone and all that shit, to where she's been bleeding out this whole time, and she does die, but she dies in like Tommy and Lindsay's arms.
And taking out Michael while she does
taking
it.
out Michael first, and then you have a funeral for the 2 of them, kind of like thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you do the same kind. That's the part I thought was kind of cool, because then you have a reason for everybody to be on the streets too, right? Because everybody already was on the fucking streets, so now they're like, yes, he's fucking dead. Here's the body. We're done. This is it. That should have been the end then.
That too, but also, like, if you think about it, with them negating all the other sequels, it's like he just killed like 4 people on the first one, and then so it's not like he's haunted the town for 30 years.
That's the other issue I had with Halloween 2018 and that kind of shit. I mean, I can see that there was a little too much of that hyperbolic shit in the second film, and I understand that, and that's part of the problems I have too. Same with reason why would the fucking nurse be having beers with everybody else? Like they would have no reason to even fucking know each
How do
other.
they even know her?
Like if anything, they should be sitting there waiting for Lori, going, "Where's Lori?" Like that would have made sense, right?
Right.
Like them all sitting there going, "Where the fuck's Lori at?" And because she's in the hospital. And that sets off the chain of events from there. Like that would have made more sense, but like having her there because it just made no fucking sense.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
why is she here?
Loomis's nurse. We'll just slide her in here with these people that she has no idea or no reason to know.
No,
or hang
she
out
should
with.
have been at the hospital with Lori or something like that.
Yeah, that would have made much more sense.
Because that's way you make Lori more active again, because you have Lori tied up in the bed, right? If you have the nurse show up, she's like, no, she's telling the fucking truth. I know Dr. Loomis. I was there through the original ordeal. This is what because her character isn't even that useful, except for she shows up more in Halloween 2. She's barely a character in the first film.
Yeah, she's just an opening. Just that's it.
And really, her being in the second film makes little fucking sense because she's really just an assistant fucking nurse in the beginning of the movie. Like she's just there to help Loomis make sure, so he can knock her out and make sure all that shit and da.
Right.
And just to give him a hand. And then she shows up in the second film like she's some upper echelon in the fucking company or the hospital or whatever, when she's not really at first. But now they kind of retroactively make her like this more important person than she really is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whatever. I didn't have a problem with that then. But her being here, I like her character showing up. I didn't like where she was utilized. But anyhow,
she was in the wrong spot.
You were saying something about what's her face.
Now, from what I've read, I haven't seen a whole lot about this, but from what I've read is that Jamie Lee Curtis may have shunned Danielle Harris a little bit at the premiere and kind of, like brushed her off. And so that kind of caused a little problems amongst some of the horror fans, because they like Jamie Lee Curtis and they like Danielle Harris from Halloween 4 and 5. And then Scout, I can't even remember her full name, but to Lori
Scout
from
Taylor Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas. She came out, she said that was not a good movie. She said Halloween's End was not a good movie, and that was not Michael Myers, and that was not a good Michael Myers send off for James Jude Courtney. She didn't like it at all. And she came out and said it. And she was at the premiere with all, they took pictures with Jamie Lee Curtis and Danielle Harris, all them, and then she come out and says that the movie sucked. So, I mean,
well, it's not like she's got any face to save. It's not like she's in demand, but
so
she was honest though.
I'm glad that she was honest about it. So, yeah. But yeah, I did hear that.
That's her name, Compton. Scout Taylor Compton. Thank you,
Scout Taylor Compton. And yeah, her and Danielle Harris do a podcast together called Talk Scary to Me. So I was curious if maybe they were going to talk about it a little bit or something. So I know that I heard that Jamie Lee Curtis kind of shunned Danielle Harris and Scout didn't like it, and that's pretty. I think pretty much all of us can agree. Halloween Ends sucked. It was a shit movie.
Yeah.
It was shit.
It was
again, I'll say that with a hedge because there is things about it that I enjoyed. I do like the idea that they did try something different, but I'm pretty convinced of what I said earlier, and that is that some other people have said this. I wasn't the first person to say this either, so I'm not trying to take credit for anything, and I don't know this for a fact, but considering this is the first of the 3 films to have more than just Green and McBride writing it, there's 2 other writers credited, and I don't think it was a rewrite so much as I think they stole another script. I don't mean stole, like they actually just bought it. They took another unrelated script and just made it a Halloween movie, because that's the way it feels. It feels like this is a totally different story being tacked on to this other story,
big time.
And that, or it was like an unused earlier Halloween script, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe that's what they wanted to do in Kills to bleed into the third movie.
Honestly,
I don't know.
You want to know the truth, Greg? I was thinking about this. This honestly feels like an unused Halloween 6 script.
Sort of does. Yeah.
Like, if you think about how 5 ended,
and
if you would have had him like in the woods with that old guy,
right,
and shit like that, and you had somebody setting up like the whole thing, and they kind of teased that already with Danielle Harris, and
you could kind of almost say Corey was Paul Rudd's Tommy, leading down the path to becoming the Shape, which is pretty much like
I see what you're saying there. I see where
what I'm getting to, because it was Yeah, but to be honest, I just can't find nothing I like about this movie. I really, truly can't. I just did not like it. Go ahead, Renner.
You know-
We've been talking. You'd say some stuff.
Yeah, so if those who don't know, I did a stream on my channel last night talking about the movie. I had Nerdporial Life Form.
You should have asked me. I could have maybe showed up.
Well, you were live on your channel, so I couldn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you were live on your channel, so and I asked Greg too, but he was busy.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
can't-
last
sorry.
night, Monday night. Oh yeah, duh. We have toxic film. Yeah.
Oh, no, it was yesterday.
Or no,
so it was
Tuesday.
Yeah, it was
Mead?
Tuesday, but yeah.
Oh
but-
yeah, I was editing afterwards too, but yeah, I probably would have popped in if it was later than Mead.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. I thought because I remember because you're usually busy Tuesdays because like you have like your show and then
I
don't you
do
go to, like,
Toxic Tuesdays usually,
I was-
but
I was
that's
gonna
if
say-
yeah.
I was gonna say, don't you go to like Nick Weiser's channel too? After
Yeah. Usually,
Okay.
if unless there's something I don't have to add to the movie, but last night I had some editing to finish up. But
Yeah, no, I thought but no, so and Justin Proper was there too. And what oh my god. I think we had a lot, well, we basically trashed the entire movie cuz it's just bad. Like Greg said. Like this is a shit movie. I saw it in the theater only because my friends wanted to go. And for some reason my one of my friends, I only went with two of them. One of them hasn't seen any of the Halloween movies, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why do you want to watch this one then?
yeah, that makes no sense. But what was their
Yeah.
reaction to it?
Well, he was confused the entire time because like he literally during the movie he kept asking me questions. He's like, "Does Michael Myers teleport?" Like he kept asking me that during the fucking movie. I'm like, no. He'll just pop out of nowhere, just to try to scare you. Like that's kind of the point.
Which doesn't mean he doesn't not teleport. We just don't know. We've never seen him actually do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why
But,
I
I
told
mean,
him like that's why
he
that's
gets
what
beat up by a 5'0" guy. So
well,
I'm just being hilarious. Don't worry.
no, I know. I basically told him like, yeah, like
But
not
not really.
necessarily. He'll just pop out like whenever.
Him and Jason
So,
have the same machine.
and then like my one friend was like, yeah, I liked it because he watched the other movies too. He watched 2018 and Kills, and he's like, yeah, this was good. I liked it. It was different and all that. I'm like, yeah, but it was shit. Like
it's bad movie.
It's like they shouldn't have done this for the last movie. That's the problem. And literally, I had an argument with this fucking guy, like in our group chat about this fucking movie. He's like trying to defend it and shit, and I'm like, and I'm telling him like, this doesn't feel like a Halloween movie at all.
It doesn't. And
And-
I'm with
and-
Tom.
and-
I will
and-
commend them for taking a swing and trying something different. But for me, it didn't work. It didn't work.
Yeah, and I even told him like the whole 4-year time jump is stupid as shit. Like the way and the reason it doesn't make sense is because of the way they ended Kills. Like
That's what
the
I
way-
said.
Like the way they ended Kills, especially that extended cut, like that's a to be continued ending. You know what I mean?
It is.
Even the irregular cut is kind of.
Yeah.
Well, that one too, but especially the extended cut when Laurie's walking in the hallway with a knife. It's like, oh man, big showdown's coming in the next movie. Yeah, well, you have this Corey kid, and it's like, it literally feels disconnected from 2018
It
and
does.
Kills, and that like that was the red flag immediately.
It's
When-
almost as big of a reset as the 2018 film was.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
is.
Like and another problem is I think the one thing that really made me hate this movie was when they were trying to build Corey up to be Michael, and the reason that is because it's like you don't see it. Like he doesn't have that. How do I?
I'm pretty sure they used the whole evil passing on to him as sort of like the sea bug stuff and people in their homes and all
Yeah,
that
but
good stuff.
It was just dumb though. Like, and like when you're doing that, it's like, why are you doing that in the last movie?
Yeah, it feels like
Like Like you
Because
should
that's
do
the thing.
that.
It's
in,
a
like,
lot like 4 and 5 and 6 with the whole like the passing on, this idea that the evil could be passed on somehow. But even then, they
I
tried to
I
explain it with
haven't
the Curse of the Thorn.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen those movies yet. The only Halloween movies I've seen are the first one, of course. I've seen 2. I've seen H2O, and I've seen 2018 Kills and
Well, in that movie, basically the short version is they run under this idea that Michael Myers, the reason he turned that night is because he was under the Curse of the Thorn. And what that is it used to be in ancient times, the tribe would pick one family, and that family would be sacrificed. And one member of that family would come under the curse, and they would kill their whole family. And it was that way that the rest of the families were safe for the rest of the year, or whatever. So it's that's what it's built off of, and it's kind of an interesting concept, but it just falls apart in execution.
yeah.
Especially
And
because they end the 4th film on a cliffhanger. That's why Greg and I are saying, like, they've gone to a point where they've hinted at this shit, but they've never gone this far. I give them credit for actually going there, but
Yeah.
it should have been something explored either from the very start of this trilogy
Yeah.
or left for possible further sequels.
Exactly.
Left a little bit more ambiguous because what they did is they left us hanging with a cliffhanger in part 4, and then 5 they retconned it kind of.
Yeah.
They didn't retcon it flat out, but it was like set up in a way that she was acting out or whatever. Is that like it wasn't normal?
They had like a psychic link.
Psychotic episode. Yeah. It was like
her and Michael are like psychically.
And then now her and Michael are
and...
linked psychically and shit. It's really insane after a bit.
Yeah. It's bad.
It's the reason why Halloween 5 is still arguably one of the worst, but it's not nearly as bad as H2, but still pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. And I would say Ends is just as bad as
yeah.
And
is in the 5 league.
I mean, Ends is so far the worst Halloween movie I've seen. Because I still need to see the others.
Yeah, wait till you get to Halloween 2 from Rob Zombies. That's fucking bad. That's really bad.
But what else can I say? I mean, really, like, well, most of the criticisms that Greg has are the exact same ones I have, and literally, like, I'm in like. And, even some of I'll tell you one thing I did like. One thing that actually made me laugh when I watched Halloween Ends was the pull your tits out joke from Jamie Lee Curtis. That was fucking hilarious.
Too bad we didn't even get to see the tits with the hot nurse who was banging the doctor. Her nipples were hard and everything, and they didn't even bother to show nothing.
Dude, I was literally sitting in the theater. I'm like, when are you gonna pull your fucking tits out? Like, this is the this is the perfect opportunity for you to do that. Like, you could have actually earned a little bit of points from me if you did that, because it would have, it would have actually felt more like a original, classic horror movie. You know what I mean? DNA.
I get you, but I really think they wrote themselves into a corner with kills. Because once he gets to the house and he's standing there, and what do? Jamie Lee Curtis wants to kill him now. She knows he killed his daughter. What do? Oh, you said it 4 years later, and you bring in Corey, and then you have the house demolished, and Michael's gone for just like nobody knows where his ass. And there's like this evil in this town, and it's spreading, and some people are dying and killing themselves and letting themselves go, and it's just like, what the fuck?
It feels like it should be a 4th movie in this series, but
almost like
you
that.
remove Michael completely from that equation. Like, that's the whole point. Is at that point Michael is dead, but he's still haunting this town. Then you can make that movie fine. But if you really that would only been worked if you had the 3rd film that actually paid off this trilogy, which it's not. And to me, I hate it being a lopsided thing anyway, because now it's 4 movies instead of 3. Because you still have to see Halloween 1. They didn't take that into consideration. Yeah. Like, they should have quit while they were ahead with Halloween Kills. And then, if that one had done popular enough, if you probably had the original ending on there or the ending that I was talking about doing like that, something like to that effect, then maybe it would have been better. Maybe people would have responded to it better. Then you could have done a 3rd movie that was this, them dealing with the aftermath of all that shit. Right. And then this guy comes into her life, and Laurie's starting to see this thing that she don't like about him. And that can be its own fucking thing. But and
then you could be clever and use the Halloween 3 font for that movie, because I
Yeah.
think they knew they had a stinker. And what if we're just clever and we used a Halloween font on this and a Halloween 3 font and stuff?
Yeah, I noticed that, and I haven't seen Halloween 3 yet, but I've seen like people make comparisons on Twitter, and like, and I bought Halloween 3 on 4K from Shout, but oh yeah, you want me to tell you another thing? So like, when I like was arguing with my friend about the movie, like I told him like the time jump was stupid, it shouldn't have been 4 years, that's bullshit, and then he's like, and I'm like, it should have continued right after Kills. It makes the most sense, at least to
It
me.
does. And it's like
And then
Tom said and stuff.
no,
It was actually all supposed to be on the same night all 3 movies were.
well, no, but like let me get to the part that you guys need to know. So then my friend tells me, "Oh well, it can't be the same night because it's got to be taking place in Halloween." It's like, motherfucker, they can still continue it off of Kills. Like they can still fucking do that.
They could.
Like, and he's like, "Oh well."
Yeah,
like,
because
you
the
can't-
original movie's like
no.
from like, sorry, it's like just saying the first movie's like from 7 to 8, like probably 7 o'clock at night till like maybe 10 o'clock at night, and I figure the second movie's about 10 to midnight maybe.
Yeah.
If that.
Exactly. Like it's just like I don't know. It was just
It's just bad. But here's
Exactly.
from Cynical, a serious question. He says, some fans complained about the brutality of Kills. Do you think it played a role in how soft Ends was in the gore factor?
Actually, I think Kills was less brutal in a sense than Halloween 2. See, that's one of the main issues I had with 2018 was fucking Michael all of a sudden's Jason level. And it's like, where the hell did this come from? You shouldn't be killing that much. But did you finish your point, Runner? Or?
Oh, I finished my point there, but like another part that like I like literally lost my shit in the theater was the whole tunnel with Michael in it having the stroke or whatever, and then like and then oh my god, what pissed me off was that loser Corey literally is like trying to make him his bitch. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? I'm like why is he giving orders to Michael fucking Myers?
He beats up Michaels and take the mask. I was like, oh fuck this shit. I was like, fuck this shit.
Dude, I'm like, I'm sitting in the theater, I'm like Michael, why don't you fucking cut the shit out of him?
I don't know. I think
it was
I don't
stupid.
know. It's just,
and another thing, my friend was like, right around the end, he's like, well, someday you're gonna like this. You're gonna say you're gonna like it. I'm like, I doubt it.
Yeah, I've seen people try to say that. It's like, so how long until people start saying Halloween Ends was judged too harshly? I really don't think this is going to be one of those movies in like 5-6 years when people go, you know what? I really liked Halloween Ends. No, I think this is going to have more of a legacy like The Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker. Something similar to that. Exactly. I don't really think people are going to come around to this movie.
No, they're not. If anything, I'm willing to bet some fan is gonna make a fan film that continues off of Kills, and it's gonna be way better. That's what I think. That's what the future of Ends is gonna be.
It's something, I don't know, but Cynical as far as like the brutality, I think they wanted to make it more like an intimate story, is what I do believe they said when they were going to go into the third movie before they started writing it. So I think they were going to bring back the kills a little bit. But the one question I have is, how the hell did that woman survive that he stabbed in the neck with the light bulb from Kills?
Yeah.
He murdered, as far as I can tell, he murdered that woman. She was dead. And then all of a sudden she's alive and in a wheelchair and can't talk.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was kind of weird. I was like, you mean to tell me that what he did to her and then the way he killed her husband, she lived? I don't know about that. Yeah, so.
Yeah, that was weird. But,
that was weird. What's up, Night Owl? I know the tunnel was in court. And the fact that he is bullied, he's a 23-year-old man bullied by band geeks. These aren't even like football player jock kids. These are legitimately like band geeks, and nothing against if you were a band or anything like that. But these kids were like the least intimidating kids I've ever seen in my life. And they're bullying this 23-year-old man.
Yeah.
And they're not even having any connection to him.
Yeah. Like That's well. First of all, the acting
Yeah.
from the band geeks were fucking awful.
It
But
was bad.
other than that, literally Corey like honestly could have beaten the shit out of him in the first place. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I mean, yeah, let's be serious.
Like
He probably could have
I
took
know
him.
I understand he didn't want to because of kind of like how people view him. They want people to see him as a good guy or whatever, but he could still fucking try to do something to defend himself, honestly.
He could have.
Like, I don't know. I mean,
I did forget that, Tom. Though I did forget that she was watching as he stabbed him over and over. I did forget that. So I guess maybe that makes sense how she was alive. So, and good night to Bryant Barth. He's leaving.
good night, Bryant.
Yeah, good night. Thank you for hanging with us.
And by the way, Bryant, I did not go to Best Buy. I was at work.
But yeah, it was so many like the worst bullies ever. They didn't even have a connection to him to be bullying him in the first place. And I do agree that like you could have had a story there. You could have did almost like a Halloween you could have almost took it like the anthology series that they originally wanted to do, like John Carpenter wanted to do, like how he did with Halloween 3. You could have like finished off Michael Myers' Halloween Kills, do that, and then you could like move it on into like, even if you want to connect it, okay, now Laurie's granddaughter has moved on and she's in maybe a different city and it's her. She's taken over now and she meets Corey and Corey slowly becomes this psychotic killer type guy. You could sort of set it, in like the same universe and then have start having different stuff happening on Halloween night, like the anthology series. But the way they went about it in this was just god awful. It was just god awful.
Yeah, it was bad. And literally like, oh my god. In the theater, like, what's funny? Like right around like the last like 10 minutes or whatever, like 2 people started leaving. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah,
like, I bet they were like, fuck this
probably.
noise.
Deleted scenes. Don't put that evil out in the world, man. Don't put that evil out in the world. Round Zombies, Alien vs. Predator Requiem. Don't put that. No, but that is like one of the worst Alien vs. Predator Requiem. But if he would have made Round Zombie, don't put that evil out there.
I heard that was bad. But literally like there was no reaction at all in the theater. Like everyone just left in silence. Like no one clapped or any of that. It was complete silence.
That's a bad sign.
Yeah. Like it's sad because like this movie should have been a home run, and I feel like Blumhouse just doesn't understand.
Well, I don't think Blumhouse is a producer. He's in it to make money. I think it was more or less David Gordon Green and the writers and stuff. It's much like Rob Zombie. They just don't understand. I don't think anybody can just quite capture what John Carpenter set up in that first film. They just don't. I don't think they get what he was going for.
Yeah, and I in a way I feel like they're aware of that, but like the thing is like this should have been a home run. Like this should have been a home run and I'm only mentioning Blumhouse because I feel like almost any time they try to do some type of franchise, or at least the ones I've seen, they're very few, like they'll have some potential and then they'll fuck it up at the end, like usually at the last movie they fuck it up.
The big fundamental issue here is that once you take away all the sequels, because Michael only kills like 3 or 4 people on that night, like more people die on the subway in Chicago every day.
Yeah, exactly. And
so like for him to have this mythic aura about him, you almost can't negate at least some of the sequels. That's the problem. That's why at least with H2O, it's like, yeah, he killed like 16 fucking people.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's funny? It's like even in Kills, they use clips from Halloween 2, which were supposed to be negated.
Did they?
Yeah, they use clips from Halloween Part 2. They use the clips when they pull her friends out of the house, when the cops are there and the sheriff shows up. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they use parts of those clips of when they're pulling.
You're right. I was thinking that myself. I'm like, isn't that in Halloween 2?
Yeah. So they actually use clips from Halloween 2 in Halloween Kills. It's just it's the team behind it. I like I said, I really do commend them for trying to do something new, trying to set up a new franchise, trying to go in a different direction. But in the end, they don't get it. I don't think they get what Carpenter set up. I know Carpenter was behind these movies, but let's be honest here. Carpenter was just having fun making the movie and taking a check. He didn't really care what was happening in these movies.
Yeah.
So making the music, so that's all there is to that. And
another minor thing you can honestly say that was decent about this new movie was the score.
Well, yeah, because it's John Carpenter, of course.
Yeah, I know, which is sad. But
even
yeah.
reused music by Carpenter, if he didn't do the whole thing, was like it's still good.
I mean, there was a little changes here and there.
No, yeah, it was new music, but
no, but he's saying you could have just reused it.
Yeah, you could have just reused his music too.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, that's like the whole thing there, Night Owl. Like she says, it seems like every person killed in this one was bad and unlikable.
Yeah,
that was sort of like with the Rob Zombie thing we were talking about, where they bully him, and he's so, you know why he's going to kill these people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you would say anything on that, Tom, I don't know if I
no,
cut you
that
off
was
there.
basically what. No, you're fine. I'm eating an apple anyway.
Yeah,
no,
but that's what
pretty much what I was going to say. Is like that's where I got shades of the whole Rob Zombie thing.
Yeah. It's and the fact is that the kid himself, Corey, there's nothing in him that would say, you know what, I see Michael in him. He's going to kill people. When he was, by all intents and purposes, he was a good kid who did a accidental thing, and then people shunned him. There was no reason for him to kill people. There legitimately was no reason for him to kill people. But he meets Michael Myers in the tunnel, and Michael looks at him, and they have some kind of weird psychic connection once again. And his eyes go black, and he becomes evil because he's now the disease has passed on to him or whatever
Which
it is.
kind of negating the sequels, right? Like it's like,
right. It's just the more I think about this movie, the more and more I just do not like it. And I just want to say to people that may be watching this or something, if you did like it, that is fine. That is perfectly fine. I don't want you to feel like, you should feel bad if you like it or something.
No, because the weird thing is like if this was just one of the regular sequels, this would probably be one of the better sequels because they were trying something different.
Mm-hmm.
The problem I and most people I think have with this is that you have this whole thing you set up going on in the first two movies. And like you said, Greg, several times over, this just feels so disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Like this doesn't even feel like it's in the same universe, even though we have the same director, same writers, including two new ones, but most of the same cast back as long as they were not dead, and granted, I get and understand certain aspects of it, but they clearly didn't set it up that way. So that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a hard time believing that they didn't just sit down and go, oh shit, we don't have enough ideas for a whole movie here. What do we do? And they just rejiggered the script into a Halloween script.
Right. That's what I was saying. That's it. It does feel like it. And like I've said a million times, it felt like he could have been a killer from Scream. Like they were doing it through his purpose, like the killer from Scream.
Well, it
like
makes
this
it
is him
basically
and Psycho and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even though RLM, I watched their review today and they liked it for some goddamn reason. I'm surprised that they didn't go, this is Halloween, sleeping with the enemy.
It's true. It's true.
Anybody remember that movie with
Julia
Roberts?
Roberts? Yeah, I remember that movie.
That's really all this is, because I remember that movie being compared to like the Halloween films and shit at the time. Because that's really all it was a fancy slasher film.
Mm-hmm. It just with like a hot starlet and sort of like yeah. I get it. That's pretty much what they went for too.
For those in Runner who are probably wondering what the fuck that movie's about, it's about this chick who ends up falling in love with this guy played by Kevin Kline, and he turns out to be a fucking psycho.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so she thinks she's found the perfect love, and it turns out he's a fucking serial killer, basically. Like, yeah.
pretty much. And that's sort of like they took that and
like I think it even has the line like where he says in Halloween, like, if I can't have her, nobody will. I think that even says that in that
Yeah.
movie.
Actually, yeah, I do think he says that. Doesn't he
I
say
think
that
it's
in
in
the
the
movie?
trailers. I think.
Doesn't she runs away from him too, and
I
he
think he
finds
says
her?
directly to her, but yeah, it's still it's like I
Yeah.
can't have you, nobody will, or whatever.
It's just really is a bad movie as far as I'm concerned. To me, this is much like Scream 5. I will never watch those two movies ever again. And I know, Tom, I know you found stuff in it you liked and stuff, and
Well,
you'll probably
when I
give it a
say
second
that,
watch or something.
it's because it is a very well shot film for the most part. Like it's not in
It's
competition.
very theatrical, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it looks nice. It was got a decent cast and all. I didn't hate the actor they had for Corey. He was a very and that's part of the reason why I think some people hate it is he was kind of a likable character. You do feel bad for him. But then when he has this twist, it's kind of hard to feel bad for him.
Yeah, that was kind of where I was at.
Yeah.
Like when he started becoming Michael Myers Jr., if you could even say that, like
Well, it turns into a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon at that point.
well, yeah, exactly. It's like, oh my god, I was like, please no.
Yeah, like the scene when he's standing behind the bushes, like Halloween 1, and then he's behind her. That just seems. It was so stupid the way it was done. It didn't even feel. I mean, I got what they were trying to do, but it didn't. It just came off as like, I don't know. It just didn't come off right.
Dude, that pissed me off. They even had a shot of him sitting back up the way Michael did. Did you notice that, Greg?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, fuck this.
Yeah. What happened to the more he kills, the more he transcends? He could barely stand. That's what I'm saying too. Is like, did they want him to be supernatural? Or did they not want him to be supernatural? He could wipe out a whole town and the firefighters and kills like that. 4 years later, he can't do nothing. Is it because he wasn't killed? It's like when Tom mentioned that, was he having a stroke when he was killing that guy, or was he getting his power back when he was stabbed? It just,
yes.
Yeah.
I think the answer is yes.
All of it.
All of it.
He was having a stroke, and pleasure and power. It's supernatural and evil and everything.
Oh, it was Patrick Bergen. I'm sorry. Thank you, deleted scenes. I thought it was Kevin Kline. They do look very similar.
Oh, it's Patrick Bergen.
You know what's one thing I want to talk about real quick about this movie? Right around the third act, like just starting the third act. You remember how Corey tries to kill Laurie, but Laurie, shoots him. She tricks him into thinking that she was going to commit suicide and all that. I predicted immediately that he was going to kill himself, and it's going to look like Laurie killed him.
Which we talked about
because it's telegraphed from a mile.
Yeah, away, it was telegraphed.
No,
even
I was just like, I'm sitting in the theater. I'm like, okay, this is what's going to happen. They're going to stand right there. Like they're going to stand in the, right around the house or whatever where they were. He's gonna slice his neck, and then Laurie's gonna pick up the knife, and then the granddaughter walks in and thinks that she did it. I fucking knew that was gonna happen.
The stupidest thing about that is, how dumb is her granddaughter? The mask is literally laying right beside his head. Michael Myers' mask is literally laying right there.
Like at that point, she should have had the revelation. No, she had to wait till she saw the burning fucking tower of the radio station.
Oh, the radio's burned down. Oh, he was crazy.
Oh, wow.
It's like that's how you found out.
Really? No, because that's why I could see it telegraphed from a mile away. Because that's why I didn't like her having this sudden twist of I don't like him after she's the one who fucking set him up. And I get it why. And I'll tell you, this is why I was jokingly saying yes to all those, Greg, earlier, is because the answer is technically yes to all those.
Yeah.
Except for maybe the stroke thing. I don't know about that. Because I actually happened to stumble upon a little blurb thing from David Allen Green where they ask him about possible sequels. And he says flat out in it, I only had, this drive to do a trilogy. And I've done it now. So if somebody else wants to pick up the mantle, that's, they have my blessing kind of thing and whatever. He basically says, I'm paraphrasing.
Right.
And he says flat out, he's like, even in this movie, we explore the idea that, the evil can be passed on, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, and it's this supernatural thing that gives Michael his power. So basically, yes, the answer to your question, yes. Yes, he transcends by killing more. That's why he's powering up.
Yeah.
And I believe the answer to the second part is that I believe at that point Corey has killed more people or just as many to where they're implying that Corey is just as powerful. This is literally a fucking video game at this point.
Yeah, we gotta power up, man. The more we kill, our power levels rise. And the mask, I need the mask. It goes in my satchel so I can.
And I mean, and the sad part is it retroactively fucking makes. Okay, I know this is going to take me a little bit to explain, but I'm going to try and explain it the best I can.
Okay.
My biggest problem with the first 2018 Halloween movie was this: the fucking doctor. I fucking hated the goddamned doctor.
It feels like they amplified him in Corey here, but go on.
You get where I'm coming from here because, and that's why I liked Halloween Kills. I'm like, this retroactively makes the other film better because they literally have the cop saying, no, the doctor's fucking nuts. He was bringing him out to you. He did this. He's responsible for this. It's like, okay, so the doctor's just crazy. That's why he thought he was getting the power. He wasn't really getting the power of shit. Yeah. He was just nuts. Like, and so that's kind of the way I was feeling. Like, okay, so that makes sense because they flat out finally said what I've been saying. They needed to kind of really blatantly say, and that is, Laurie, Laurie, let me tell you something. He don't give a fuck about you.
You ain't his business.
So what happens? What happens? Halloween ends, retcons that again by basically implying more often, yes, the mask is this powerful thing. It's this entity of evil, implying more so again that the doctor was infected with the evil. Everybody gets infected with the evil when they get near Michael Myers. Like this whole idea. And that goes with Halloween Kills 2 with the whole town being infected with the evil and da-da-da-da.
Right.
Seriously, you're retconning that shit again? No, Michael Myers was just a force of nature. I get it. It doesn't necessarily mean he has to be supernatural.
Exactly.
That makes him fucking Jason then.
Right.
That's the problem.
And the thing is, it's like this. It's like because people complain about the doctor. That's my least favorite part about 2018. And it's like, you know what? I bet we could take the doctor character and do a whole movie about it and just go right back to that storyline because I really like that storyline. I don't care what the people said. And
no, I think that they knew what they had done wrong, and that's why they flat out say it in the second movie, to be honest, Greg.
Yeah.
But then they readopted that idea in this one. Because at that point, he flat out says he wasn't coming to your house. He wasn't coming to get you. In fact, the only reason he was going he's going straight for his house the whole fucking time. That's what this is about. That made more sense.
It did.
He's going home because it's the night he came home, remember?
Yep, the night he came home. Duh. You know what would have been even funnier? I mean, shit, if you're going to just like make the mask something supernatural, like it could be passed on, just put the fucking silver shamrock logo inside the mask. If you want, especially since you want to make this like part 3, just go for it.
You know what? You know what the sad part about that is, and I know this in some off kind of shoot way, though all the masks in that movie are Trick or Treat masks.
Yeah, they're
the company from Trick or Treat. They are. Yeah. They literally are. Yeah. Because when Sean Clark, the guy who does Horror's Hallowed Grounds, he did an interview with the guy who runs Trick or Treat, the company that does all the toys, the masks, they don't really do toys, but they do masks, puppets, memorabilia, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He flat out says that we got to ship a bunch of these to the people that are making Halloween Ends right now, or we just shipped them out to him because they needed a couple masks. And it was like the Halloween Kill or Halloween 2018 masks and the Silver Shamrock masks and shit. So they're literally using the ones that Trick or Treat made in those movies.
That's crazy,
isn't it?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. They can't even.
I mean, granted, the original Michael Myers mask was a brand new mold, but for stunt masks and for the ancillary masks in the movie, that's what they used.
Oh, this movie, just like this. Even the more I hear about it, especially behind the scenes, it just makes me hate it more. It just really makes me hate it more. I honestly just can't find a redeeming quality in it for me. For me personally, I just can't find a redeeming quality in it. I don't care even that.
No, and exactly. I feel the same way you do, Greg. And that's why I did the stream I did last night. It was like 2 days after I did the stream, well, before I did the stream, I mean, 2 days before I did the stream, I DM'd Nerporial. I asked, dude, I need to talk about this movie with someone. Do you want to do a live stream on my channel talking about this fucking movie? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I asked a few people if they want to join, whatnot, and yeah, that's how we do it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it was. I mean, there's aspects of it here and there, but it's like this could have been like the Cobra Kai of Halloween films, and I don't mean necessarily passing of the torch. Here's what I mean, and this is another gripe I hear people say: "Oh, Michael Myers is too old." Yes, he is technically old, and I was thinking the same goddamn thing, but I take that back because I watch these stupid police videos all the time, and I saw some 73-year-old dude who took 3 slugs at close range before that motherfucker went down.
Yeah, I mean, the age thing never bothered me. So
don't underestimate the power of an old man when he's got a fucking motive.
Yeah,
right? Like
they have a one-track mind, and
you see
the shit they lived and been through.
See that's why I felt the whole tunnel sequence with Michael and all that was so goddamn stupid. Like I was like,
well, and it's worse because he's like 2 times the size of Corey too. On top of it all, because Corey's like 5 foot nothing and weighs maybe a couple 100 pounds, if that. Not even.
I just like the least intimidating guy.
Right, it's the least intimidating guy, and literally Michael's just walking around like a buffoon. I'm like what the hell am I watching?
I honestly didn't have such a problem with him at that, but at that point, it's like, why are we doing it this way? You know, it's just
I don't get know. It like it was bad.
So, I mean, he got the shit kicked out of him and all that kind of crap. Fine, but like, it's 4 years later.
Like,
I'm and the fact that he just keeps going back to the tunnel in the sewer and just staying there when the whole purpose was, like you said, he was headed home, but then they demolished his home. So what did he do?
I think the answer, Greg, is when he stops killing, he just basically becomes immobile. Because remember, they keep calling him catatonic all the time. Yeah. I think that's what they were. I fucking hate saying this because I think it's true. I've been thinking about it ever since I saw that little interview with him and shit like that.
Right.
Like, what if they were implying that since he hasn't been killing all these years, he's slowly going back into that catatonic state? And then, of course, as we say, he starts to get his juices flowing when he does that first kill, and he seems to get better and better each kill, right? I think that's the case.
Tom, I got
it's fuel for him.
It's so fucking bad. It's so bad. And
I got a quick
Runner, what's up?
No, I got a quick question for Tom. I'm curious if he thinks this is a slightly better idea for the movie. You know how in the beginning, how the little kid tricks, he like locks Corey in the attic or whatever, and he like bangs on the door to get out. You know what would have been slightly better, at least in my opinion, was you would have Michael in that house and he kills the kid, and Michael basically frames Corey into the parents thinking that it's him.
Yeah.
Like that would have been interesting.
I don't know about that aspect of it, because I said something similar myself in our review when we did it. I said what they should have done is have that happen. But then after that, because Michael's been under the town killing people silently, using the sewers to just kind of move throughout town like a phantom, he's been killing people all over town for the last 4 years, every Halloween or whatever, whenever.
Yeah.
And Corey starts getting blamed for it.
Yeah.
Because they think he's creepy and all that kind of shit. And he's not really doing it. So he has to kind of prove his innocence at the same time. And then eventually you have this grand reveal that, Michael Myers is still alive, even though everybody thought he was dead for the last 4 years.
Yeah, that could have worked. And
in that respect, I agree with you. And I even posited another version of that earlier, to where the kid is still an accident, but the fact that Corey gets away with it so easily, that kind of leads him more down a path of, like, then he gets a little more interested in, what more can I get away with all these people? Like, but they needed to make him more devious for that to work, right? You need to make Corey kind of like this person that either he snaps at one point or he already has a predilection in that direction, because otherwise it just doesn't work. And that's the thing, is they never seem to understand, is Michael just twisted that one night. He was a perfectly normal kid, perfectly normal family, and then all of a sudden he just decided he's going to kill his fucking sister one night. That's it. And he never talked again.
Right.
That was kind of what happened. And they kind of try to do that shit with the, that changing of the eyes thing, right? And that's why they have the dad come back and go, that's not the same kid that babysat.
Yeah.
That's the exact reason why that scene's in there.
Pretty much. But I do
So
wanna
they're implying that he has the eyes of Michael Myers now.
yeah, because it transferred. Um, but we do have $2 super chat here from Etep Okuyans, the place to be reviews. He says
Hey, Tep.
Halloween. Yeah,
What's
what's
up,
up, Etep?
Etep?
He says Halloween Ends was atrocious, start
Yeah.
to finish, and I agree. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and so with that, I got to.
I have to return some videotapes.
Yeah, no,
It's from one psycho to another.
I was gonna say something and I forgot anyway, but that's all right.
Okay, sorry.
Nah, I don't remember the point I was gonna make.
It's just this movie. I really just can't with this movie.
Yeah,
It just
honestly, the more, yeah, I agree with you, Greg. Like the more I keep like talking about it or like hear people talk about it, it just gets worse and worse. And anyone saying that, oh, eventually people are gonna like this movie, bullshit. I'm sorry.
There you go. That was what I was going to talk about. Thank you. You actually segued right into what I was going to say earlier. Because yeah, when Proper was on my stream doing it, I'm sure this might be where Greg remembers it from too, and he brought it up. Is I kind of more and more agree with Proper's assumption, or when he said that this is basically like the new Star Wars sequels. The Last Jedi was Halloween Kills, and he's right. It was the most divisive of the bunch, right? Like, and same thing with Halloween 2018. It was about 90 to 80% of the people enjoyed it for the most part. Same thing with Force Awakens, even though they had some issues with it. Same thing like me,
right?
You know. And then Halloween Kills was the divisive one. Like, you have people either love it or hate it.
Yep.
Exactly.
You know, it's a left or right. And then you get to, so by the time you get to Halloween Ends, this one is so bad that most people, like, it's like the opposite of the first one, where now like 80% of the people all agree that it's pretty fucking bad.
Yeah.
Like at this point, we're done. Like, this is it. And even if you did like the last one at all, there's even like, and that's the same thing I saw after The Last Jedi. There was a lot of people who poo-pooed all over Rise of Skywalker too. It's like, well, you motherfuckers got what you wanted, basically.
Yeah, that's what you wanted, right?
Yeah.
It's just oh my god, this movie.
Yeah, the more I think about it, it's like I regret spending money to see in the theater. I should have just watched that at home.
This has got a Peacock, man. It's free.
That's the problem. I don't have Peacock.
The sad part is this is all coming from the same people. Like, that's the only thing this isn't comparable as far as with Star Wars or among many other
it's
things.
Like the same crew behind
it's the
each
same
movie.
people behind each fucking movie, and like the first two were even shot back to back. I mean, well, of course that was the same thing with The Last Jedi, but I mean, same crew was shooting it, though. That was my point.
Yeah. It's just
it just sucks. Like, this should have been a home run. You know, Halloween is like one of the most iconic like horror film franchises. Like, it's arguably like the Star Wars of horror. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and this one actually has a lot of comparisons to Rise of the Revenge of the Sith as well. No, Revenge of the Sith.
Oh,
if you think about it. If you stop and think about it, there's a lot of that in there too.
Anakin at the high ground.
Well, not that so much as like, you know, the going into the dark side kind of thing. Yeah.
That's what I was really getting at. I wasn't really getting at that.
But no, as far as the only other thing, Runner, about your question earlier, my only reason Michael does not kill kids. I have this thing where and that's one of the reasons I wasn't a big fan of Halloween 4, 5, and 6. And I know it's sacrilege to say I don't really like Halloween 4. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. I did not really like Halloween 4. Why? The main reason is because Michael never really seemed to chase kids before. And him chasing a kid, regardless of who she is, just feels off. And it feels it's exactly kind of what Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel were talking about. It's the other extreme of the unnecessary exploitation. The same thing with, like, you know, the sexual side of things. Because those are the two main things they would gripe about, is how women were treated, which I believe they were right about the sex part, but they were wrong about, you know, because they would forget to bring up the fact that all these movies had strong women in them too.
Yeah.
To contrast that. That is what they forget to mention. But the other part they were always right about is 9 times out of 10 when they would put kids in jeopardy for no good reason other than because they know as they will get a reaction out of the audience because it's a fucking kid. The only time I disagreed with them on that was Child's Play 2. That's the only time I disagreed with them. Other than that, most of the time when they've talked about, well, there's this scene with this kid and it was unnecessary, I agree with them. Because unless there's a good reason to bring it into the movie, you're not going to have a kid watching it anyway. So you're kind of just manipulating the audience, unless there's a good reason for it in the story. Cujo is an example of it's a good reason for it to have it in the story where the kid almost dies. Or Pet Cemetery is, a good example of where it actually is it needs to be there as part of the story, right? You know what I mean? Like
right.
You need that motivation for him to go to that point, kind of thing. But anyhow, moving on, you're gonna make a point, Greg.
With me though, I like Halloween 4. I know you don't, but and like I said, that's fine. I always felt like I didn't mind her being the kid in it because you had her sister, which was the fan favorite, what they did to her in part 5, which is Verne's it. I really felt like she took on the role of the
There's
Jamie,
some things I like about Halloween 4.
Laurie Strode. Yeah, I feel like she took on the Laurie Strode role, and yeah, I get it that like Michael doesn't kill kids, even if he's coming after his niece. I get that. I do. Will say, yeah, that's kind of but I don't know. There's something about part 4 I really, really enjoy, and I really like that movie. But it does, like, once they get to 5 and 6 and stuff, that's when they really mess up. But whatever they were, the scene, and I will admit the scene, I kind of fast forwarded that scene in ends with the kid because I just couldn't watch that scene because I knew where it was going.
As a parent, it's a little difficult. When I was younger, I didn't give a shit.
No, me neither.
I was like, let him die. Kill the kid.
But here's the thing. The kid's name was Jeremy. My nephew's name is Jeremy. I raised my nephew.
That's another thing.
I raised my nephew.
That kind of a thing is a thing as a parent I was always afraid of, and that's why I hated kids running around stairs and shit like that. Yeah. You can become a parent and that changes a little bit. You just kind of like, it was a little unnecessary, but again, it depends on how it's used. Again, I'm not going to totally say, and again, for the most part, I would still probably give Halloween 4 like a 6 or 7 out of 10. But I just, there's ways around that. We've never explored what the fuck happened to Michael's parents. Never. Never once have we ever in these franchises once got into those people. Did they have more kids afterwards? Clearly they dumped Laurie off.
Now, see,
if you go by that storyline.
Like if anybody ever reboots this, much like we've talked about with the Rob Zombies, what they could have did, they could explore that. They could do Michael, which it's sort of weird putting him in a kid setting, but then you can age him up throughout the year so you don't have to keep him a kid.
Not just that. Where did they go?
Yeah, you can focus on his actual parents, not Sherry Moon zombie and her crazy hillbilly white trash family, but these normal suit and tie wearing mom and dad that their normal little blonde haired boy killed their daughter. What happened to them? What did Dr. Loomis do with Michael in the thing, the psychic ward? Did he have conversations with them? What was going on?
And that's where I think Halloween 4 could have been done differently.
Yeah.
And that was why I brought it up, because instead of them creating a character, because I get it, at that time, the distance between the two, she had to be a certain age or it wouldn't make fucking sense. But you never explored the parents. Did Laurie have any other brothers and sisters? We don't know.
Right.
We never found out because we never went to. And don't you think Michael would have went after his fucking folks eventually too?
Yeah. And then why was Laurie given up for adoption? They never really explored that. Then when did they have her and why did they give her up?
Right.
So
I always felt like there was a Halloween movie we didn't get in between there where he did go out and kill his parents on a Halloween night.
Maybe.
And there was already a Rampage, but it was in another town because they went to move to another town.
I think they should do that. I mean,
but it's stupid. Why would they leave their daughter in that town and shit like that? And clearly they're kind of insinuating they probably died or killed themselves, is I think what the whole thing is.
Yeah. I know at one point in time, they were thinking about doing the Halloween that they were going to do was like they were going to take it back to the I don't know if they were going to go back in time or set it in modern times, but the cop that was in part 2 that rode along with Loomis, because Sheriff Brackett kind of comes out of the thing, they were going to focus it on him, and it was going to be like, I believe it was supposed to be set in between, was actually supposed to be the actual Halloween 3. That's what it was. They were actually going to do like Halloween 3 after the part 2 where they blew up, and it was going to be based on that cop and what Michael did.
So like a retcon.
Yeah, like sort of like a retcon type thing where they were actually going to do an actual Halloween 3.
I don't have a problem with that so much too, because that's what I liked about Halloween Kills and I was sad we didn't see any in Halloween Ends or 2018. And that was kind of like the how they do the flashbacks, because they did them so well. Like I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? I would almost like a whole movie like this.
Right. I think that's what they should do.
And when you said that, that's what made me think of that. I'm like, because they should have done like a Halloween 3, and you can just have somebody come in and you can deep fake young Jamie Lee Curtis's face over top of her and have her do the voice.
That, or you could just leave her out of it
or leave her out of it altogether, and bring that
like
guy in who looks just like Loomis. I mean, fuck.
Yeah, that guy could just get a better voice, because the guy that did the voice,
better voice,
that wasn't very good. But you could set in between. Like I think a lot of with these slashers, especially when you set them in modern times, it's hard to go around certain things. Which I did notice, nobody actually had a real cell phone in this time around. Nobody bothered to use their phone that much.
Well, they used to do movies like that on purpose. They would try to avoid too many things that would modernize a movie or set a movie in its certain time period. Like if you notice throughout this certain part, like I think it was like the later 70s, like the late 70s and into the 80s, and still into the 90s, even to a point before the internet age and digital stuff. They would kind of like try to set everything in like an ambiguous time period, unless it was specifically meant to be. Right. Like, so you kind of like, you never really knew, because they knew it had 4 or 5 years of a life in a movie, because you'd have the theatrical run. If it was a big hit, you'd had a couple years for the theatrical run. Then you'd have your video and your cable, and then your network television premiere. And in most of those cases, that's the first time a lot of people are seeing the movie, especially when they used to do the network television premieres back in the day. For those who are younger in the audience who may not know, because we didn't even getting home video was still like it was still late 90s before even 60-70% of homes in America had VCRs yet. So like there was still quite a few people in America, like that was the first chance they had to see a movie, or the first chance they had to see it for the second time, until HBO and those kind of things became a thing. So like it was a big deal for like these movies, and they would make a lot of money off those too. And Halloween is no exception. The first one specifically has got a lot of special treatment for the first film when they did it on television like that. So and they would try to make movies feel like they could still happen at any time.
Yes.
And they don't.
I agree. That's why you like sometimes when you go back and watch certain movies where they like make a point to reference TV shows or certain gadgets and stuff, it instantly feels dated. So it's better to do that. And I think you could probably do something like, instead of let's be honest, the next Halloween movie is going to be a reboot, and we will get another Halloween movie. We will. Just it may take it will be years, but you could really just like forego that and set it in the past without really saying it's 80s, 90s, 2000s, whatever. You just set it in a certain time frame, and
I don't mind if they do that with some of these horror films at all, to be honest with you, because it makes more sense.
Especially since a lot of these are like famous from the 80s. You can still keep them in the 80s or ambiguously 80s or 90s or and it would work so much better. And you wouldn't even, much like how people are so tired of seeing the origin story of Superman and Spider-Man and Batman. Well, you know who Michael Myers is. Set him in Haddonfield. It's Halloween night, 1987, 1992. Doesn't matter. Laurie's gone or whatever. It don't have to be Laurie. It could be somebody else. It could be the sheriff's. It could be just some babysitters he sees. Somehow he's there, and you go with it.
And the reason I say that is because the shit that's in Halloween Kills, I mean, it really feels like it's almost right out of the first Halloween film. It's just uncanny.
Especially the flashback scene with Loomis, which was probably
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean exactly.
That was my favorite part of that movie, honestly, because I mean how they like, you saw like the behind the scenes pictures of them like putting like that looked amazing. Plus he even sounded like Donald Pleasance too. It's like,
I mean, the voice could have used some work. It didn't quite sound like him. He's like, "Did Michael kill again?" And it's like a little too British.
I don't know, man. That was pretty.
He was pretty good though, but yes.
But it was really good.
Go back to that last comment for a second, please.
I've only seen
this one.
Well, no, I've only seen Kills
mask.
once, but
the clown mask.
It was impressive, honestly.
What they were trying to do is be clever and have Corey's first kill be in a clown mask, like Michael's first kill was a clown mask.
And it was a horrible clown.
That's what it was.
The scarecrow mask.
And that's why he also turned down sex. If he would have just fucked her, he wouldn't have killed nobody.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
because the thought of it revolted him. Like him, it was all trying to parallel. Like, look, I can tear movies like this apart, and we could be here all night, and I can tell you if we could EFAP this fucker.
Yeah,
And
we could. If we didn't have to get up early, I would.
I could tell you what they were trying to do, and it just comes off as pretentious as fuck.
Yeah.
Like as fuck all. That's where I think like Halloween 2018 was good, and most people like that. I get it. I don't like it as much as most people do, but Halloween Kills, as far as I'm concerned, hits the pitch perfect of what a sequels in the 80s horror films were, and they're emulating that, and it's a throwback too. And you know, that's another thing, getting into like the cell phones and stuff, because yeah, modern technology makes horror films so difficult. Unless you're doing like a Nightmare on Elm Street where Freddy can transcend the technology. Because once you have a cell phone into the picture, and it's really hard to believe that in most places outside of Friday the 13th where it works, but then you still have to have the obligatory, oh, my fucking cell phone don't work scene.
Yeah.
Can't get a fucking signal scene. And that gets
You got
redundant.
no signal?
So and that's where I don't have any problems with seeing a Texas Chainsaw, Friday the 13th, Halloween, what have you, sequel set in 1980 something or 1970 something. I would have no problem. And plus, you get to play around a bit. You get to do costuming, because then you got to make sure you got period accurate costumes. You can play with the soundtrack a little bit. You can have fun. Like that's what these movies used to do. They used to have fun and be kind of an event to them.
Yep.
Even though they wouldn't make a buttload of money, they made enough money for them to keep doing them. And they keep bringing our butts back in the seats to watching them or renting them, right?
Yeah.
So point being is, if you just capture that, it doesn't have to be exactly the same, but that's where you can have fun and play with it. I like that idea of
I do too.
a part 3 of that guy doing it. If not, like set up somebody else, it doesn't matter. Like you can do things with that, right? Like there's ways we can play with these characters and have fun and do a multiverse kind of thing of like that, in a sense of like almost bonding the characters, like James Bond, I mean, in a sense of like just switching out some actors and stuff here and there if you have to for younger versions. And I don't really usually like prequels, but if you're doing new sequels, that's a different concept.
Yeah, I mean, so what? You don't have somebody that looks exactly like the cop from Halloween 3. You can just find someone close enough and make him look like it, and just say, you know, this like freaking like with Iron Man, the Rhodes. You just you know, you could just do that. Like, oh, you look a little different. Well, it's been a year since the last Halloween.
Well, you don't even have to do that, but like they did such a great job in this, even finding younger versions of like Will Patton's character.
Oh yeah, that kid did. Especially, I noticed that too. Like when he was standing at the end of Ends, and he kind of looked like that kid more there than he did. You know what I mean?
Because he's skinnier in Ends, and that's what helps. But they found a kid who had the same kind of nose as him, and it just happens to work. You know, like. They found some people are good with that kind of casting where they can find people who just happen to catch the certain looks and essence of what somebody might look like if they were younger, you know?
Yeah.
And you find the right actor. And in most cases, they don't do that very well. But in this case, they did a good job with those actors. And then the same thing again, just happened to have the guy who worked on the movie looks like Loomis. And I thought it was all CGI. I'm like, that's a damn good CGI. And then we find out, no, it's not really.
It's just a guy
it's
they
an
made
actor
up.
who looks just like him. It's crazy how he looks just like him, but yeah,
I know. But I would totally be down for that. And so I don't know if anybody would ever listen to this or see this, but if anybody's listening to this and can get a chance to get to the Halloween movies down the road, away from the Blumhouse, away from this stink,
we can have
do something
Halloween,
like that.
You can look. You are onto something here. You got the young guy there that looks just like Loomis, right?
Right.
You can have. How would you like to have every year or every other year a Halloween movie? You have Halloween 79, Halloween 80, Halloween 81,
right?
Halloween 82. You don't have to have whatever, but every one of them is Loomis has got to go after him. You have this young guy to play him, and whatever reason, something gets in the fucking way each time of him killing him, or we think he's dead. And you can play around with that for a couple movies, at least even a trilogy. Like do it like Halloween. Okay, like he comes back every 5 years, so 78, 9, it'd be what, 83, right? So Halloween 83 would be your new sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And the best part is, it's got a 3 in the title.
Mm-hmm.
So you can play it off like it's the new part 3.
Yeah, this is the Halloween 3 that we should have got.
And the better part is you still keep the canon that Loomis tried to burn them both alive, and they both managed to live.
Mm-hmm.
So they both have burns. So then you can actually put a little bit more makeup on the guy who plays Loomis, so you don't have to worry about him not, because that was the thing, is they shot him from distance all the time. Because the close-up pictures, he's not quite a spot-on image, but he's pretty damn close. Or then you don't have to worry about CGIing him or anything, because you just have excess makeup on him because he's burnt, kind of like they did in part 4, right?
Or you could even, like, if you don't want to use, you could like have Loomis just make a cameo in the hospital because he's burned up. You know what I mean? Like,
you
he's
just
not
got to keep him alive. I love this idea
just
of
keep
just
him
having
alive.
Loomis being there, this new Loomis guy. This guy looks just like him. He doesn't have to be an actor. He just has to be Loomis.
Yeah,
right?
and
Like,
and you wouldn't even need him for the whole movie. Like I said, you could like have him be there. He could be in the hospital bed, still burned up, and then that cop visits him, and then he goes on his, looking for Michael Myers or whatever.
Either way, but I like the idea of that you can have Loomis continue on. And my point was going to be, then you do 83, then you jump 5 more years ahead of that, which would be like what, Halloween 87.
That's true. I mean, yeah, and you
can just do them every couple of years, and you have this whole like pattern to it, and you can play with the era, because in 83 was a certain kind of time in the 80s. 87 was a much different time in the 80s, so you have a little fun with that.
So you can even do into the 90s, because like after part 5, there's a huge gap into the 90s that Michael, the
beauty of it is, like I'm saying, is you're like making your own. We already have enough fucking choose your own adventures in this fucking franchise already.
Exactly.
Like, this is its own thing. Like, you come back in a couple of years from now, you like take this idea, like, okay, Halloween 1 and 2 all take place on the same night, right? 1978. As far as we're concerned, that's the end of that story. 5 years later, though, here it's 1983. And Michael Myers coming back, and you're doing like with that same guy who played Loomis in Halloween Kills, like I said, and you just do a couple movies with him, and you just kind of have the same kind of, that old Halloween feel. They don't all have to be the same. You can find gimmicks for each one. But my point is there's your diving board into this idea. Like I said, of course, it's 1983. Well, what was the popular music of the time? What was some of the things you can play with of that era?
Exactly.
Then 87, same kind of difference. Yeah.
You could do so much stuff. And I do agree. I think maybe they need to start taking these.
With Stranger Things, it would work so well right now.
Exactly. You could take these old 80s and you can keep the canon to boot. You can make a Friday the 13th in the 80s. There's so many years in between at the campground where he could do it. There's so many years, like you said, every 5 years with Michael Myers. There's so many like Texas Chainsaw Massacres you could slip in there with Leatherface and his family, and not the new shit that's on Netflix. Like Freddy Krueger, you could do Freddy Krueger, and Freddy Krueger could even still be done today in the modern age, because he transcends the technology. Because
that's what I was saying.
Because you don't need a computer or cell phone in a dream world.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, so that don't matter.
But with Friday the 13th, you can just do Friday the 13th. Friday 13, and it literally be just like another Friday the 13th movie set in 1980 something.
Yeah.
Or pick up in 1990.
Yeah.
Because the last one was in 89, and then there you go. Or whatever the next year had a Friday the 13th after that, and say, it's Friday the 13th, 19. No.
Yeah. It's 1980 or 90s. Yeah. There's so many of these that you could really do, and there's so many gaps in between the years. I think it would work.
And it's just so kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Synonymous or something to that effect. That's not the word I'm looking for, but when we think of those movies, maybe, but it's like, because you think of the costumes, like the people, or the 80s outfits and stuff people were wearing, like those would now be considered quote unquote costumes, because you have to design that shit to make it look like it was from that era and accurate to that era. And that's the beauty of it, is I like those kind of productions more than I do modern productions anymore. Modern productions feel so that was my highlight for Halloween Kills, is going back and like, oh my god, they did such a great job. Look at all the cars. They made sure they were all cars of the right era.
Yep.
And the cop uniforms look exactly like they did in the first movie. I love that attention to detail. And I love going back, like you're going back to see and see it from an angle, or do it in a way you didn't see it before, or another story set in that era. I like that concept. That's one of the only reasons I liked Rogue One. I didn't really care for the movie overall, but what I felt it was successful in doing was like, holy shit, you dropped me in a world that literally is days before A New Hope.
Yeah, and it felt like you could.
I mean, I did like, well, Rogue One's a movie I did like a whole lot when I
liked it
saw
at first, but it kind of like
it doesn't age well. It's kind of like The Force Awakens. It's probably the best Disney Star Wars movie, but that's not
No
saying a
argument
whole lot.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not saying a whole lot. And the Darth Vader scene at the time was cool, but when you find out, it's like, but when you think about it more, it's like he literally could have just grabbed the plans, and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Like it's like shit like that you catch like during rewatches, and it's like, yeah, that doesn't work as well.
Yeah,
just-
and there's some other things I have issues with later on, but yeah.
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 But I mean, they really could have did that, and I kind of wish, if I remembered, I don't how they were going to do that. But I kind of wish they would have made that movie, like the Halloween 3 that we never had. I wish people would do this. You don't need to reboot the movie. You don't need to make it a legacy sequel. There's so much you can do in between years and stuff, and still keep it without messing up continuity or canon of other films. As far as I'm concerned,
Yeah, and I mean, I
down with
don't disagree with you on the idea that you can still try to adhere to other canon in the series, and some of these will lend themselves more to that than others. But the beauty of like Texas Chainsaw and stuff like that is most people ignore everything after the first or second one anyway.
Yeah.
And every sequel does it's anyhow. So at
Pretty
that
much.
point, you can really just pick up where the first or the second one left off. And I would love to see a gritty, grimy, grindhousey Texas Chainsaw movie set in the late 70s or something like that, or the late 80s or whatever. After I love part 2 unapologetically. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I know they're so different, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is probably one of the best horror films of all time. It almost in some ways surpasses the original. I hate saying that out loud, but it's true, in my opinion, anyway.
But you could very well do that. You could do like somebody else, very gritty and like sequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you could even try to do a sequel to the part 2, because Caroline Williams, that actress from that, still doesn't quite look like she's as old as she should be. She could literally come back. She's not that old looking.
And Bill Moseley, same thing, even though his character, I think, died in that, didn't he? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he did die in that. It's been a while for us seeing it, but yeah.
I can't remember if they don't show him off screen or like. It's been a couple years since I watched it.
You can find a way to bring him back or something,
Yeah, but for you don't know, like the first movie, of course, you've seen, right? Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, I own it on Blu-ray Steelbook.
So you know how that's all grindhousey and very like
hardcore.
Realistic and uber hardcore.
Oh yeah.
Toby Hooper's like, I think I'm gonna make the second one a comedy.
I heard it. I heard the second one.
But it works. It works on every fucking level. And it is the most 80s movie. Like, it is one of those movies that you'd almost have to drop in the 80s capsule.
Yeah.
Like,
it's especially with the Breakfast Club motif on the posters and everything. It just
became so synonymous with that era. Like,
but it is.
It was one of the first horror films I ever saw. I mean, I did see the first one first, and I liked it. I'm like, yeah, it's all right for what it is. It's a quaint little horror film. It's very visceral. That I'll give it, and it's still it gets to you at a primal level. But that second film is just fucking fun. It is fun as hell. It has fun with itself. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's got great fucking characters. The Dennis Hopper character is fucking amazing. What's her face you just mentioned is amazing. And of course, Bill Moseley chews every goddamn scene that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like Leatherface is spot on. I mean, it's just everything about that film to me is like a
Bubba.
Like it's you fucked up my good hairpiece.
My Sonny Bono wig.
God damn it. Flip my plate. You ruined my Sonny Bono wig. Yeah. God damn it.
It is.
I know what I want. I want to make a request. Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, I know. Inagata DeVita, Iron Butterfly. Yeah.
You know what's funny is too is like even Toby Hooper says the first one's a comedy too, but I
see what he means, but but he's just going balls out. Like, you're gonna give me this much money to make a Texas Chainsaw movie? All right.
But any final words here? We've got it almost 3 hours.
Halloween ends. It ended. And
It
I don't
sucks.
think
It,
at this
it
point,
ended,
the way the box
it ended
office is
poorly.
going and the reaction to it, I don't see us getting another Halloween film anytime real soon.
No, real soon.
Never
But
say never, though.
never say
Well,
never.
well,
And
if they
give
if they
credit
are
if you
doing,
go back to the like what we came up with tonight. Give us credit. But go on, Runner. Sorry, go on.
no, I was gonna say if they do another Halloween movies, at least redeem Michael Myers. Like that's all I'm asking for. Like at least let
Yeah.
Michael Myers shine. Like he, like try to. I don't know. Just like they did him so dirty in this new movie. Like you need to do something to like make the fans happy some way.
Yeah.
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 Too little,
But-
too late at this point, I think.
Yeah.
I guess.
That's like the thing with I don't want to compare this to part 3 because I know Halloween 3 is a good movie and I don't think people got that. And the thing was, it wasn't a Michael Myers story; it was an anthology story. People to get it, and then I think that's one of the reasons why part 4 did so well because when they brought Michael in and redeemed, came back to Michael like that. I wouldn't say redeemed him because he didn't need to be redeemed, but then when they brought him back like that, so many people latched onto that. So then you may have an effect like that if somebody gets a hold of this property and makes a Halloween movie 6, 7, 10 years down the road and brings back Michael in that type of form. Yeah. But
I think I'll end the same way I think I ended the other roundtable, and that is, well, this officially makes my new Halloween trilogy, Halloween 1, 2, and H2O.
Yep.
And Halloween 3 is its own thing. So yeah,
that's my preferred timeline with Halloween 1, 2, H2O, and Halloween 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. That's it. That's it for me.
Depends on my mood.
Yeah. But yeah, sub to Tom at Midnight Says After Dark, Runner and Runner Blaze. Thank you guys for being here, listening to us. I know we've been talking Halloween a lot, but it is the season, and this is like Michael Myers. It's Michael Myers. You cannot talk Halloween, at this time of year without talking Michael Myers. So
hopefully next week though we'll have some good Halloween to talk about. How's that sound?
Next
and
week
some other stuff maybe.
Yeah, we'll bring you some good horror movies. Try to bring it unless you guys got something really new you guys want to show off, but at least try to bring some horror movies. And I know we'll all three have one of the same.
Yeah, and I'm still waiting for my delivery from Shout. Shout, if you're listening, come on.
I got a shipment today.
I didn't get mine yet.
I didn't get any notifications about like my package being shipped because because one of the things I got is like Halloween 2 and 3 on 4K, and I think that also came with I also ordered that David Carradine movie that Tom showed us.
Yeah, it's the Sorceress.
The Warrior and the Sorceress. Yeah, that was it. I bought that with those two movies one time, and then the week after I bought when they had this is when they had the Shocktober sale.
Yeah.
I bought
I think that's what I bought.
Then I bought Space Truckers and Strip to Kill with that other movie.
Final Judgment.
Yeah, and those weren't on the Shocktober sale. I just bought them in case they run out.
Yeah.
And I bought was it Sword and the Sorcerer?
Yeah.
On 4K.
But yes, well, I'm planning on watching a bunch of horror movies this week myself, so I'll have some for you guys next week, on next show. But Tommy, what do you want to say real quick?
Oh no, I was just trying to figure out what the fuck my. I think it's my the Halloween ones, the Shocktoberfest. I mean, ones that I ordered. I think.
You think? I'm hoping to get mine soon. But I thank you guys for everybody watching Deleted Scenes. Thank you for all your work in the chat tonight. And I saw that you were a member here for 3 months earlier, which it didn't pop up here on the StreamYard, but it popped up here on the other thing I have. So I appreciate that. And yes, modern movies are not very good this week, but thank you to everybody who was here, everybody watching, everybody in the chat. Truly appreciate it. Next week, I hope you guys come back and join us for some more talk. And next week will be our Halloween show. And by that, I mean like celebrating horror movies and stuff. So, have a good one. And as always, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
How you doing?
Corey, leave.
Bitches leave.